and subscribe.
Want Dr. Pepper?
Welcome to the rice fields, mother.
This is what I found on Israeli Tinder.
That doesn't make sense.
Out against the religion or anything?
They're trying so hard to act human, bro.
Wallace and Schlomit.
Wallace and
Trying
Schromit.
so-
Wallace and Schromit.
That cup has the blood of an infant in it, dude.
Dude, I swear to God, she looks
just-
hungry.
Kwame got the cheese touch, bro.
You do this the easy way or the Schlomit way?
Take some cereal, bacon, 3½ eggs, some chips, and maybe a little thyme. Put it into the oven for 18 months and just let it rot, and then it gets thrown out.
If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will fart on children. That is immoral.
That is Reddit.
Oh, hi there. Oh, you're awake.
Cortana, let me explain it to them. Listen here, buddy. It's May. May means deployment season for the Covenant activity increases by 32%.
May we not do this?
My source, trust me, bro.
Oh,
They're out
Chief.
there, waiting, lurking,
stop.
like giant overgrown rats.
You know I'll make him.
They're probably
Chief,
behind
what
that
do we-
door, exactly where they'd hide. Cortana, play emotional support music. I'm going in. Chief out.
Looks like you're going to have to take over Spirit too, Marco.
Jake money in my pocket, toe ring, go socket, stumble on stage, red feet, whole crowd stop, keep talking, beat to flash, I lock it, blue line cash, I clock it, if the shoes go missing, fine, I make a lane, I walk it, all I need is feet, boy, all I need is floor, one step, then two step, hear the whole room roar, no lace, no shame, no fear, I came to collect right here, big dome. Big toe money, take money funny. Kids go dumb for the summer. Money, big toe money. All I need is feet, boy. I've been gone. Toe paint tip, still shining, mud on the sole, still climbing. Count that change with my pinky, make a grip when the night get windy. Barefoot king with a grin on me. Every scar got a win on me. They said stop, but I said nah. Watch me flip that spin on me. All I need is feet, boy, all I need is floor. One step, then two step, hear the whole room roar. No lace, no shame, no fear. I came to collect right here. Big toe money, big toe money. Take money funny. Kids go dumb for the summer. Money, big toe money. All I need is feet, boy. I've been gone. Toe first flex, made the whole crowd surge. Count my coins with a heel marks down. Muddy road vibe, I don't need no lamb. Big toe. Big...
Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're all having a wonderful night tonight on this fine Monday evening. We have a menagerie of nonsense for you to consume this evening. Some of it fun, some of it funny, some of it wacky, and some of it a little bit rage baity. We have the new cast for Tropic Thunder 2, starring a very, very unlikely fellow. Never thought that he would get the role, especially stepping into the shoes of the iconic Robert Downey Jr. But you know what? Eric's getting it done, so best of luck to him out there in the sequel. We also have midgets speed running the Scientology headquarters. And it goes just as well as you could imagine. Trigicon innovating, liberal gun owners seething, Ruger, they lost, which means I think we all won. I'm not sure. But either way, we have lots of fun stuff to talk about this evening. But before we do, the namesake of the song, It's Monday, we've got Big Toe Money himself, Jake Orzorp. How's your evening going, sir?
My evening is okay.
Did that song like boost your spirits or lower your spirits?
It was all right. It was
right.
it was better than the original, I think. Definitely better
Yeah,
than the
yeah.
original.
Well, that was another one of his classic remixes. So I thought it was a little better. And then you have Spirit Airlines going under. The ethnics most affected. But before we get to ethnics, Richard, how is your evening going, sir?
Spirit Airlines going under? What am I gonna do now?
Bro, your audio is barely coming through. Like a whisper.
See if that's better. Hopefully.
A little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. Spirit Airlines going under. That's not good. I don't know where I'm gonna fly now.
Well, your $39 round trip tickets, fun while they lasted. The free Henny, the Bluetooth speakers, all of it kind of added to that atmosphere, that real
Good sir,
sense of
Henny is
Cajun
always free.
tourism.
The Henny is always free when you bring a pocket flask.
Yes. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into. We're gonna start off a little silly. Okay, so we're gonna ease into it, so to speak. So we've covered Eric, Iraq veteran 1488, or better known online as 8888, online before, and he has continued to go down this path of rage baiting, or at least leaning into it a little bit. So if you guys remember, he posted this originally, his having his girlfriend give him some bronzer, spray tan or whatnot, and then posting this online. A little bit of self-deprecating humor, hopefully, maybe a call for help. I'm not entirely sure. I'll let the audience decide whether that's a call for help or just, poking a little bit of fun. But then he decided to follow it up with an absolute banger here. Where'd all the comments go? I need all the comments. Let me reload the page real fast. Come on, Instagram. There we go.
When I saw this, John, I thought this was just a fan-made thing. I didn't realize he posted this.
Yes,
That's amazing.
This is not an edit. This is not, well, somebody else's edit, I should say. Nobody made this as a funny meme. Eric saw this and he was like, you know what? I can one-up myself. All right. We're going full Robert Downey Jr., Tropic Thunder 2. Let's go. Okay, this is a funny audition tape. But yeah, so the last spray tan turned out so good that I had to get some more since you guys loved it so much. What do you guys think? Ladies, I'm taken, so don't lose your mind. Now, again, whether this is him taking a little bit of a shot at himself or just kind of leaning into the meme or a cry for help, I'm not entirely sure. Poop dynamics. Me think me going lose the house in business. Geez. Please seek help, man. My sleep paralysis demon. Credit score dropped to a 380. Oh, geez. I don't know. What do you think, Jake? Is this a cry for help, or is this just a man leaning into the meme he's become?
I think the first one was concerning, but after seeing this, I'm all in, man. I'm supportive of whatever this is. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think the first one is honestly worse.
Yeah, it is.
Like this looks like gas station meth addict, trying to steal quarters off, somebody. And this is just somebody, where'd it go? Oh, that's funny. And this is just somebody obviously leaning in to make a joke. He actually looks better because it makes him look like less of a drug addict than this. Richard, what do you think? You see this guy outside of your local convenience store. He's asking you to come help him change a tire. Yes or no?
Well, I can't see him if he doesn't open his eyes and his mouth. So
yeah, well, I gotta stipulate it's light outside, so you can.
It doesn't matter how light it is outside, good sir. He's still too dark.
You know what he looks like? In games where you have the locked characters, and so they don't have any features yet. They're just a black wall. That is what he looks like. He looks like a locked character that you don't have enough credits to unlock yet.
Yeah, this is what he saw before he got divorced. And then after he got divorced, he saw the other one. That was the unlocked character, divorced 1488.
Oh, dude, yes. This is pre-divorce or after the divorce unlock, Eric.
Amazing.
He looks like MLK Boulevard. Yes, Shadow Eric. Well, I mean, they're both into guns, so I think it still works out. Now, very important. Okay, this is the big news of the day. We have to get to this. Okay. Polymarket, a new group, a group of more than a dozen dwarves have reportedly raided the Church of Scientology. Now, if you've been following the speed running challenge, the IRL speed running challenge, all right, there has been a wave of streamers trying to see how far they can make it into the Church of Scientology before they get arrested or, stopped by security. And they've been working together. This has been a coordinated plan. Okay. So they've been mapping out the interior. They have diagrams, they have, times, they have all that sort of splits that you would have for a real speed run. They're doing this IRL to the Church of Scientology. Rumor has it, if you make it to the top floor, it's just Tom Cruise and you're going to have a 1v1 with him. And that's like the boss battle, and everything else is at the top floor where Tom Cruise is waiting for you. Now, they decided to try a new strategy, okay? Not the biggest strategy, not the strongest strategy, but they decided to go with quantity over quality and have a dozen dwarves or 20 dwarves, midgets, whatever you want to call them, little people, little folk, attempt to speed run the inside because maybe there's not enough security to capture all 20 dwarves.
Ready, set, go!
John, have you ever seen this many midgets in your life? Like, not all at once.
I love how slow they are getting up the stairs. They're
Not
like
much of a speed run.
Sorry,
It's
say
more
again?
like it's not much of a speed run. It's more of a fast waddle.
Yeah, more the waddle run. Well, that's why there's 20 of them, because if there's not enough of them, it's not going to work. You got to have a quantity here, because even if there's 10, 15 security guards, they're not going to be able to take all of the dwarves out unless they're like throwing one over the shoulder and picking one up by the clothes. They're having to carry 3 and 4 out at a time.
And that's not going to play well on the media,
No, it is funny. This is a hate crime, by the way. Where's
Where
the
did
new
they
video? That's a
find-
hate crime, Wubba Bubba.
Where did they find this many midgets that were willing to do this?
It's
Well,
LA.
Did they put out a
okay?
Craigslist ad?
It's something
midgets?
like
Yes.
that, basically. Yeah. Think about it. If I'm a Kick streamer or an IRL streamer and I think I can go viral off of this, yeah, I'm gonna pay some little folk, $50, $100, and be like, hey, listen, all you gotta do is run into this building and go as far as you can. Okay. I'm gonna stream it. It's gonna go viral. This is like good. This is
Don't
good
they work for
material,
half
okay?
price?
Yeah, they're probably significant discount over the full size, right? You get a fun pack discount, all right? It's like the big
for
pack
one.
of the little candy at the supermarket, okay? You get a fun pack or fun size discount on these guys.
But in the end, you end up paying more by volume. Like it is actually more expensive because of the convenience. You pay a premium by volume with the midgets, I think.
Yeah, it's like the cheap trash units in a strategy game. Sure, you can make a bunch of them, but they just don't do really. They don't pack a punch, okay? So you just have to volume max as much as you can and hope they don't get taken down. Okay, what do you think about this lady right here?
I love how she stopped going after the little people and was like, nope, that's a hate crime.
What a strange day of your life. You know what? You're like, these people, okay, the last 2 weeks have been hell. They keep coming in every day and just sprinting past us. And again, they're not really doing any damage. They're just being obnoxious, right? They're basically hooligans. They're ruffians, okay? This isn't like people breaking and entering and stealing with guns and all this other stuff. They're just being obnoxious, right?
I'm just disappointed that one didn't try to duck and run underneath of her legs.
Underneath that would have been very
That would have
good.
been.
But this
peak.
lady's like, what is going on? Okay, after all that she's seen over the last 2 weeks, and just a wall of midgets running by, and then one guy with a camera, and she's like, no, let the midgets go. I'm taking the cameraman on.
It kind of makes me think. It makes me think that she had like a plan, like they were gonna trap him up there.
They actually have a midget rape chamber upstairs.
yeah.
They're like, we're
They just
going
wanna
they're gonna
trap 'em
corral
all.
them into the midget chamber.
They just have a giant
oh.
net at the top of the stairs.
It's
Also,
not a giant net. It's just a slightly
well, it's a
slightly
net.
smaller than
Okay.
average net.
Is this music gonna get you pee slapped for copyright?
Isn't this just Nintendo
It's-
music? Isn't
it's-
this video
It's like
game music?
Mario
Is it gonna be-
music.
It's close to the Mario music, but I think it's
It might. It's
slightly
yeah. It sounds
different.
like off-brand Mario music.
It might be legally distinct Mario music.
Correct. Yes. And I mean, this is surely transformative content. I mean, look how slow they are. You have to pay a bunch. They're. Tom Cruise is short. Yeah, he's short, but he's not that short.
I like the little dude right here who's waving everybody in.
All right, now that's a tall one. The black one,
Well,
I mean,
he's tall.
he's black,
yeah. I mean, he's tall compared to some of the other midgets.
but he's black. He's going to be
Uh-oh,
taller, right?
who's this guy? Uh-oh.
Is that Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs reincarnated. No!
They found a new body for him in the Church of Scientology.
Please. I have a question though. Do you think Shannon would let me back? I have a question though. Do you think Shannon would let me back?
See, look, they're just being annoying. And the guy's like, can you guys just please leave? Like, I bet these guys are so over the joke at this point, right? Because the meme is kind of dead at this point. They're just having to do wackier and wackier things to keep it alive. But this, whatever this dude's job is, I don't know if he's like head security or something like that. Just please leave. Please get out of here.
Head-
Allow me to continue my day, please. Please.
He's the head party pooper, is what he is.
This is the head midget wrangler. Which is actually now a real job, okay? They're gonna have to hire a new midget wrangler to replace the last one after his epic failure at the gates there.
Let's see that LinkedIn posting.
Now imagine you're like somebody heading into the Scientology headquarters for like legitimate reasons, right? You're like, you know what? I think Scientology, as weird and wacky and nonsensical as it is, I think it might be the truth, So you head in there and you're like, I need to get one of those scans done, okay? I need to get this done. And as you're signing the paperwork and signing away your life savings, you just see a horde of midgets run in behind you, and you're like, all right, maybe this is a sign that this is not the right place to be. This is probably a sign that I need to not be here right now.
You're getting hooked up to the e-meter. Getting hooked up to the e-meter, and all of a sudden midgets just spill through the door like a pack
It's like
of zombies.
out of a horror movie. So they go behind one of the doors, and it's all the midgets like strung up, hooked up to the electroshock thingamajig to get their readings. They're just hung on the wall.
No, it's just a bunch of them running in hamster wheels.
Yeah. They have different testing methodology for the midgets. It's very important, very, very distinct. All right. Well, let's talk about true mind-bending, mind-blowing innovation, shall we, in the gun sphere. Okay, Trigicon, long at the forefront of doing nothing, yet being very successful at doing it. Actually, probably one of the most. Them, Aimpoint, and EOTech to a lesser degree, incredibly successful at doing nothing. But Trigicon has decided to break out of the mold, okay? They've decided to do something revolutionary, new, mind-blowing, and they came out with a green dot. That's
Whoa.
it's just a standard SRO, but this time in green, and it's an extra $50.
This is huge.
They did the thing that Holosun has done since 2017, 2016.
I mean, I'm very impressed, actually. This is a big step for them.
Yeah, this is good.
He said, so Trigicon is basically Glock. That's funny. So Trigicon innovated, or no, that's not even Trigicon. That's Aimpoint I'm thinking of. Trigicon really doesn't innovate, I guess. They just kind of do things that are outdated.
I mean, they came out with the RCR like 2 years ago, and that was met with mediocre reviews. And then they came out with the RMR HD, which is just as bad as the original RMR, but it does, not need to be taken off the gun every time you change the battery. So that's cool. However, now you get it in green. So you get an SRO in green, and it's more expensive now. So that's cool. I mean, for all of the guys out there still running SROs, which is not very many. I know some people still love them, Brantley Marion, Lucas, and a few other guys that basically only run SROs. In local matches, like it's maybe 5% of people are running an SRO. Everybody else is running some variant of Hollow Sun, 407, 507 comp, or Defender XL, or you'll even see like the knockoffs more often, like what are the Siley Bull Pros or some of the other weird big window
Gideon.
dots that are out there. Yeah. Gideon, Vector, some of the other ones that are out there. The Trigicon SRO is not like it's a bad dot, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't do anything exciting at all for $600, right?
It's also very visually appealing. In my opinion, it's a really good looking red dot. Not
The SRO,
necessarily
like
looking
the
through
dot
it.
itself, like
No,
physically.
I'm not talking about looking through it. I'm just talking about the housing. It looks nice.
The appearance.
The aesthetic
I
of
see
it
what
is
you're saying.
nice.
Well, I mean, the 507 comp is literally just a square. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
This does have curves, and it's circular, so it does have like I guess better lines, if you will. Now I've shot SROs and I like SROs. I think the dot looks good, the glass is clear, but again, I'm not spending double or triple what Hollow Sun does better, and that's just kind of the sad state of affairs in 2026, where a plethora of companies do the red dot thing better than Trigicon, which was again one of the first people, if not the first people, to make a true dedicated pistol red dot.
Yeah. Also, like if I had to choose between this and like a Delta Point Pro, I'd probably pick the Delta Point Pro. And those are
I continually forget that
significantly
Delta Point.
cheaper.
Well, I continually forget that Delta Point Pros exist. I know the footprint, but then I'm like, oh, an actual Delta Point Pro, like somebody's still using those? Because I don't think I know a single person who runs a Delta Point Pro in competition.
I don't think I do either, but they look really nice through the glass. They do look fantastic. I don't know if they're better than like the comp Hollow Sun model, the one with the big window. I don't know if they're better than that, but they look nice.
Yeah. I mean, the Trigicons and the DPPs, they look fine. They look nice, but it's just, again, you're asking double or triple the money for a worse feature set. And, just it's not a good optic for the modern era. And if they want to compete, they should just do that, just come out with an RMR size dot, but make the window like twice as big. Like it's not that complicated to do. It's really not. Listen, if all these fly-by-night companies can have their own version of a big window dot, Trigicon can do it as well. And they can even still charge $500-$600. People will eat it up. Okay, just do something. Do something exciting, not a new colorway. All right. Well, speaking of things that are exciting, I suppose, we're going to move that story a little further along, just because it's not as important. We've been talking about Beretta for a while now because Beretta wants to buy Ruger and combine and control with Ruger. Beretta is the oldest gun company in the world. They were around like right at the fall of the Eastern Roman Empire, the end of the Byzantine Empire, right? So they've been around for over 500 years now, and they want to take on Ruger, one of the oldest American companies that has been around for quite some time as well. This original article is back from December of last year, when it became official, when Beretta informed Ruger it intended to combine the two companies. The deals wouldn't be through a friendly acquisition or negotiated sale, but through a maneuver that belongs more to Wall Street than the gun counter. In the corporate world, the Beretta method of choice is called a proxy fight. Put simply, a proxy fight happens when an outside investor buys enough shares of a company to influence who sits on the board of directors. If the investor can persuade other shareholders or own enough stock on its own to elect its preferred board members, control of the company can effectively change hands without the company ever agreeing to sell itself. In this case, Beretta has become the single largest shareholder of Ruger. Now, just today, Ruger put out a statement on the merger and on Beretta's continued growth or control over Ruger, because originally Beretta wanted something like 9 board member seats or something like that, because they are the single largest shareholder of Ruger. And so they want Ruger. They are actively pursuing, owning Ruger, controlling Ruger, and making them a quote unquote strategic partner in the industry. And as of today, they have come through their, again, proxy fight with Beretta trying to leverage their shares and the other shareholders to try and gain as many board seats as possible. They've come to this agreement as of today. So the agreement reflects a mutual commitment to long-term value creation and stability. Ruger to increase Beretta holding ownership cap to 25% of the company. So they outright own 25% of the company. Ruger to grant Beretta holding the ability to nominate up to 2 independent board members. So I think their original goal was 9, and I think they already had 2. So this will give them a total of 4 board members, which means that they have not only 25% of the company outright, but up to a quarter of the board itself, if I'm remembering things correctly. I might be slightly off on the percentages there. So Ruger today announced that it has entered a strategic cooperation agreement with Beretta, the company's largest shareholder. The agreement reflects a shared commitment to long-term value creation, constructive engagement, and stability for Ruger shareholders, employees, customers, and industry partners. This reads that they negotiated as much as possible to limit Beretta's control of the company while still operating, within their means, right? Because Beretta now owns 25% of the company outright, now having multiple board seats. So all they need is a little bit of influence over the rest of the shareholders, and they can effectively dictate how Ruger operates. So under the terms of the agreement, Ruger is expected to allow Beretta Holding to increase its investment up to 25% of the company's outstanding shares. The minimum partial tender offer price shall be $44 per share, which represents a 20% premium of the company's 60-day volume-weighted average share price prior to Beretta Holdings' tender offer announcement. Now, this is huge, right? We saw the same thing recently in the entertainment industry with Paramount and Netflix trying to buy Warner Bros. Essentially, to buy Warner Bros., they had to offer them a cash premium price, so they had to pay over the market rate. So Ruger is going to get a huge influx of cash, right? Because they have to spend, buy up to 25% of the company at 20% additional cost over the average stock price over the last 60 days, which is a huge influx of cash. In connection with this increased investment, Beretta Holding will have the right to nominate up to 2 independent directors following the 2026 annual meeting of shareholders and regulatory approval. At that time, the company will temporarily expand the board. The nominees will be subject to Ruger's nominating and governance committee process and qualification criteria. As part of the agreement, Beretta Holding has committed to a 3-year standstill, during which it will not, among other things, initiate or support any proxy contest or similar action. Over that period, Beretta Holding will also vote its shares in alignment with the Ruger's board recommendations on all matters, except in cases where leading independent proxy advisors firm ISS or Glass Lewis issue a adverse recommendation, or in certain extraordinary transactions not involving Beretta Holding. So this reads to me very much on Ruger's part a delaying action. They can't stop Beretta from buying more of the company. They can't stop Beretta from adding more board members, but they can delay it as much as possible, right? So they can say, okay, well, hey, we'll allow you to buy this much of the company. We'll allow you to get these board members, but for 3 years, if we do this for 3 years, you can't engage in any more proxy battles or try and gain more of the company. Again, a 3-year delay for Beretta is nothing. They've got more than a foot in the door. They've got semi-control of the board and have a huge portion of the shares of the company, right? So Beretta, a company that's been around for 500 years, waiting another 3 years to continue their possession of Ruger, it's nothing to them, right? Of course they would, especially if they're getting the board and the percentage of shares that they want. Additionally, Beretta Holding has withdrawn its director nominations for the 2026 annual meeting of shareholders, and only Ruger board recommended candidates will be up for election at the meeting, which again is probably part of their deal. It's like, hey, we'll withdraw our nominees because I think, again, they tried to push forward like 4 or 5. These provisions, together with other provisions in the agreement, are designed to safeguard Ruger's independence and stability while increasing alignment of Beretta Holding with all shareholder interests. So, the agreement is positive for Ruger and its shareholders, yada, yada, yada. Now, in this context, I'm still not entirely sure on Beretta's angle. It's obvious that they want more of Ruger. They're aggressively spending money to acquire more of it. They're getting the board seats, all of that. But I still don't know exactly why, right? I mean, Beretta has contracts all over the world. They have their own line of handguns that competes now directly with, the Ruger RXM and similar. They're in the same price category as well, being budget, you know, polymer frame blasters. They also have, of course, the M9 series, which is, ubiquitous. There's millions and millions of them out there and they sell well. You'll still see them at competitions and stuff like that. So I'm interested in how they're supposed to be aligning here, especially when it comes to the American market. Ruger doesn't have that much of a signature outside of the US, whereas Beretta has a huge signature all over the world. So maybe in the US market, they're trying to gain more market share by making it to where Ruger does not compete as directly with their handguns or possibly rifles. If Beretta were to, let's say, bring a quote unquote AR line to the US market, maybe they're trying to differentiate Ruger's offering so that they don't step on their toes as much, but I don't really know what they get out of it. Maybe it's just a good investment. Maybe they think that Ruger is going to be on the up and up in the upcoming years. Again, the Ruger RXM has been a huge success. Whether people actually like it or not, it's irrelevant. It is a huge success with selling, probably hundreds of thousands, if not heading towards 1 million RXM sales as of right now. Not really sure. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I would assume they're just doing it so that they can kind of expand their market share. I mean, I would assume they're doing it for money. It wouldn't make sense to do it for any other reason. I'm not sure entirely how it makes them more money, more than if they were to just I guess they could buy Ruger and just put them out of existence, like get rid of them. But I don't know. And someone did, I think Art Vandelay said, or maybe it was Art Vandelay, Ruger about to be a revolver company. Which, maybe that will be their angle. Maybe they'll be like, yeah, we'll acquire, we'll basically be in control of Ruger and push them into diversifying into stuff that we don't do. I don't know.
Well, right. I mean, because Ruger, what they do compete directly with Beretta on is the RXM and the APX. Like those two guns go head to head. They're in the same price category. They're polymer framed, full size, compact handguns that compete directly with the same people. Beretta doesn't really have an AR line. Ruger has a budget AR line. Ruger has a bunch of, revolvers and other things, and Beretta has like shotguns and high-end rifles. So they already don't have that much overlap. So I'm wondering if
do they both do bolt guns?
Yeah, they both have bolt guns. Rugers, but again, Rugers are more budget and Berettas are a little more high end.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, it is possible too that it's not even necessarily about the alignment of the company and removing removing Ruger as a competitor, and it's just because they think that they are in a good financial position and they think that they will legitimately be a good investment, for their portfolio, right? I guess that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine Ruger does a lot of business.
Do you think maybe Beretta is trying to get a hold of the equipment and machines and stuff that they bought off of Anderson?
Well, right. So Ruger just bought Anderson last year. They acquired them, and specifically a lot of the machines used to make the Anderson's cheap ARs, which Ruger also has, so it helps them in terms of manufacturing. Also, Anderson had the Kiger, which is a cheap Glock, Gen 3 clone, which Ruger also has. So, buying Anderson and then using those machines to make your own budget product lines, just makes sense, right? You're acquiring all the machines, you're acquiring a lot of the technical packages, you're acquiring, some of the manpower as well. It just makes sense if you want to increase your volume. And especially going into 2026, where we might start to see a higher uptick in gun sales. I know it's been slow for a couple of years, but I would warrant the way that the midterms are going to go, the way that 2028 is going to go, that we are going to be back in a buyer's market. We're going to have a bull run on the gun industry over the next several years. So setting yourself up to do good business and to be able to manufacture things, I think is a good place to be right now. All right, let me see real fast because there was something that I saw.
Isn't this the same as like big corporate companies buying up all the houses and turning them into rentals? Is that what's happening right now?
Along the same lines, I think. I did have a question though. I had never heard of it referred to as a proxy fight. I had always heard it referred to as a hostile takeover.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same thing, right? They're buying shares and trying to leverage other people on the board to give them the board seats and to elect their board members. So, I mean, proxy fight because you're using other investment firms, not just yourself, to get members on the board because they don't have enough shares to just tell the rest of the board to F off. We're taking over the company now, right? Like if they bought 51% of the shares or something like that. They have a lot of shares, they have a lot of power, but they still have to work with everybody else to get what they want. Now, I did look it up right now. Beretta's annual revenue, $1.7 billion. So that is 8 times higher than Palmetto State Armory's average sales. So even though Beretta, you wouldn't think of them as a titan in the American sector because they're not. Whereas PSA definitely dominates the low end in America. Beretta is a worldwide company, so they delve into a lot of other markets.
Their over-under shotguns and side-by-sides that they're selling in Europe are very, very pricey.
Well, so I'm curious right now, in the same time frame, Ruger is down. So Ruger does about $500 million a year. So Beretta is 3 times the size of the company in terms of yearly revenue as Ruger. So Beretta about 1.7 million. $1.7 billion. My apologies. And Ruger about $500 million. So Ruger is considerably smaller than Beretta. So
Ruger
Beretta has a lot more weight.
Correct.
No, I know. And this is solely for the American market. Ruger, basically, they might have some export sales here and there, but nothing like Beretta that has, a half dozen military contracts for a half dozen different platforms, right? Not to mention being a global player in the European market, the American market, South American market, Eastern European market, basically everywhere. They're a global brand, whereas Ruger is much more focused in America.
And I think they still get residuals from every Taurus knockoff that's rolls off the line.
That's very possible if they're licensing the stuff to South America or other places. Yeah, for sure.
Now, what if they are going to move Ruger to be a international brand? Because I could see that happening with certain countries. I think about places like South Africa, where they're kind of limited on what they can get, but something that might be a cheaper option maybe for them that could be imported. Or that kind of stuff. What if they did make it into an international brand? There's probably a desire for a lot of Ruger products in European countries. Certain products.
It's very possible. And I mean, it would be interesting to see if they get, like, let's say they do get everything they want with Ruger, and then Beretta comes out with a budget AR line that they market worldwide, right? But it's really just a rebranded Ruger, like using Ruger's manufacturing capabilities for that. Sinasper Rifleman says Beretta is trying to figure out what it's doing post M9 contract. Excuse me. All the rebate sales they're doing is a sign they're struggling. Well, I mean, again, struggling is an odd turn of phrase for a company doing $1.7 billion a year, again, triple what Ruger does, but it's certainly not helping them not having, the U.S. military contract for their handguns. So they're trying to fill that space somehow, I imagine, right? But still, they're still pulling in the money, though. No doubt about that. All right. Well, that is the Ruger Beretta fight as it stands in 2026, and we'll pick this up in 3 years, gentlemen. Okay, as long as everything goes through the regulatory committees, we'll see you in 3 years to talk about Ruger and Beretta again.
It also wouldn't hurt to have an extra 500 million in sales per year.
And manufacturing capabilities and warehouse space and infrastructure and everything else that comes along with having access to Ruger's portfolio. So, all right. Well, now let's change gears here a little bit. Okay. Beretta and Ruger, they're doing their thing. That fight is now cooled off, but a new fight is emerging. and it's emerging on a new front. Okay, Sig Sauer been under fire from their handgun division in the military, in the army, in the Air Force, in the Marines, in the civilian sector. And now a new front has opened up with now a new report, a new lawsuit about one of Sig Sauer's firearms going off on their own and shooting a responding officer twice during a mass shooting response. However, it's not a handgun. This is the Sig M400. Now, if you're not familiar with the M400 platform, it is essentially their generic AR line. It's actually a pretty decent feature set, but it's sort of overshadowed by the MCX and some of their higher end, the M7 and whatnot. Their other higher end, more proprietary systems, but they do make a generic AR, that being the M400, that comes in a bunch of different models. They have a Rose model, an SPR model, and a bunch of other wacky names out there. But for all intents and purposes, it's a decently spec'd mid-tier AR. But it doesn't get a lot of coverage because, of course, it's not the MCX, it's not the M7, so it's not going to have that same flair. And allegedly, according to this officer, it went off twice and shot him twice, a AR-15, a rifle, during a mass shooting response. And we'll let you guys be the judge about whether or not you think this story is believable, considering, again, it's a pretty standard AR, which has had a great track record post-Vietnam. So we're talking about a 50-year period at this point where it's been one of the most ubiquitous and reliable platforms in existence. All right.
If it had been any other manufacturer, I think they would have dismissed it immediately. But because it's SIG, and because of the P320, and because of the Cross, and some of the other issues that they've had, I feel like we probably need to see more.
People forget about the Cross. People forget that they were able to get that to go off on camera.
Yeah, that's
years ago.
A handgun, the bolt gun, the semi-auto rifle. I think the only thing that hasn't went off on its own is the MCX and the MPX, right?
Yeah, but then the rails don't hold zero, so it's they still can't catch a break no matter what platform they're running. All right. Former North Myrtle Beach police officer whose gun discharged during mass shooting response sues the manufacturer. Editor's note, be warned, this story contains graphic content that some readers may find disturbing. Well, I find SIG disturbing. All right. A former North Myrtle Beach police officer whose gun accidentally discharged while responding to a Little River mass shooting is suing the manufacturer for negligence. William Norton's complaint, filed Friday in U.S. District Court, Florence Division, accuses Sig Sauer of faulty design and defects that caused his M400 rifle to fire into his leg, causing catastrophic injuries that he's still recovering from. Yes, a 16-inch AR-15 shooting probably 55-grain ball, muzzling your leg, and then going off. Oh boy, like that's miserable. If you've ever seen, people say 5.56 is anemic and doesn't do what it needs to do, but point blank 55-grain ball is quite explosive, and there's a lot of tissue there that you would like to remain on your leg.
Yeah, if anybody ever seen the Rittenhouse incident, the guy's bicep turned to mist. So I have a feeling that the guy's leg did very, very similar.
Yeah, point blank. All right. The lawsuit also offers new details into what happened on the night of May 25, 2025. As Norton was patrolling the Harbor Gate Marina, he was assisting the department's Marine unit with getting a boat in the water to support Horry County Police when the gun fired twice. Norton, a sergeant who served as a firearms instructor since 2012, which is useful in bolstering your case to jury members who don't know any better, but being a firearms instructor is literally worthless. Like it's meaningless. It doesn't mean that you're good. Like we just watched a week ago, a firearms instructor shoot one of his own students in the chest for no reason at all. Chambered around, had the safety on, and positioned his rifle in front of him, consistent with his training, the lawsuit says. The muzzle was pointed downward, so probably slung, I would imagine, on his chest, facing down. That happens. People don't think about it a lot, but yes, if you're slinging a rifle and you're either by yourself or around a lot of people, that rifle's muzzle does get pointed at feet and legs and lots of things, so we're very dependent on that safety and trigger doing what it's supposed to be doing. The muzzle was pointed downwards, and Norton confirmed the safety was on when he approached the marina's gate. Investigators said Norton's hands weren't on his gun before it went off, and eyewitnesses' video recorded by a person on her balcony the night of the incident corroborates that Norton's lawsuit says. So we don't have that video, but we do have allegedly confirming evidence that he did not have his hands on the gun. Now, with an AR-15, you have an external safety, sometimes an ambidextrous safety that goes from either 45 or 90 degrees. I personally always prefer 90. It's much more positive. It's much more direct, whereas 45 is a little bit faster for some people, and they like it because it's shorter, but it also is a little easier to get on and off, which a safety doesn't necessarily need to be that thing. So if you have it on your kit, you're wearing a plate carrier, you got magazines, handcuffs, radios, you're walking around, that safety selector can get bumped. And once it's bumped, well, the only thing you have protecting you at that point is a 4.5 pound trigger pull, depending on whatever trigger is installed. And again, with kit, like you bend over, stuff can very easily get into that trigger guard, which isn't really the fault of the gun. That's the way the guns are designed. That's the way every AR-15 is designed. You know, if the safety is defeated accidentally, it's pretty easy to get something in the trigger guard to get it to go off, which sounds like, you know, what I'm saying, what everybody says about the P320. Oh, something got in the trigger guard, something got in the holster, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, an AR-15 is an AR-15 is an AR-15. If the safety is defeated, it's not difficult to get, you know, they're not in a holster.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, just an anecdotal note, right? I don't know if you guys have ever slung your rifle while you're wearing like a chest rig or a plate carrier or something and not had your hands on it. But if you move around enough, sometimes the safety will go off. It can happen. It just catches on something, the rifle moves, and the safety is now in the fire position. So
absolutely,
that's one step away.
What I like to do, and this is just my own personal neuroticism, I guess, is unless I'm actively doing something with my hands, I have my hand on the pistol grip and my thumb like in the spot where the safety would be if it were off, so that I know that it's on, right? So even if it's still slung hanging forward, I just have my hand sitting there resting on the pistol grip, just because I feel like that's the better idea, just to make sure that that safety doesn't accidentally flick off, you know? That's all. All right. Investigator says Norton hands weren't on the gun before, and they allegedly have video of that. I'll take their word for that, you know, because that's not even all that relevant, not having your hands on the gun for it to go off. After the gun fired, the first round struck water a few feet in front of Norton, while the second one traveled downward through his leg and came to rest in his foot. Unsure where the shots came from, Norton attempted to run for cover before collapsing, his lawsuit says. That is terrifying, not realizing that you have actually shot yourself, right? Because two noises go off, probably a bump fire, I would imagine. Or one shot goes off, he gets startled, and then he, you know, jerks up, and something on his uniform or whatever was already in the trigger guard. Like, imagine getting like the antenna from a radio or a tip of a magazine, or, you know, any number of things that you have on your plate carrier get into that trigger guard. So one goes off and then you jolt, and then the other one goes off right afterwards. Unfortunately, the second time down into your leg. He could feel, quote unquote, bone on bone twisting around his femur and knee area. At this point, Sergeant Norton could no longer stand or walk. Sergeant Norton instead tried to crawl towards the police vehicle for cover, the complaint says. Backup soon arrived, and officers applied a tourniquet to Norton's leg. Always remember to carry a tourniquet, gentlemen, because getting shot in the leg accidentally, if you're on the range or anywhere, depending on where you get shot, you could have seconds to apply a tourniquet. Norton required 2 surgeries and extensive ongoing treatment, including blood transfusions. Among his injuries were a left leg fracture. While the extent of the physical damage to Sergeant Norton's leg is not yet known, it is likely that he will never be able to return to his pre-incident form as a result of diminished leg capacity, the lawsuit says. Now, here we can see what's going on, because allegedly this is the footage. So 275, and you can see it is sitting in front of him, pointed down as he's working on the gate. And then allegedly this is the muzzle flash, although I can't really tell there's much of a muzzle flash. Again, it looks like he's carrying a plate carrier. The rifle is slung in front of him. That's all well and good. but there's a lot of stuff on your plate carrier, and that's a lot of items that could interact with that safety and then trigger. Now, again, still, it's very unlikely for both the safety to go off and then immediately pull the trigger. It is a very unlikely combination of inputs to cause that, but it is still just a possibility when you have a bunch of junk on the front of your gun and you're not controlling the safety yourself. So that is allegedly the footage there. The only thing that it really shows is that his hands were off the gun. But again, that doesn't really help his case in any way, shape, or form because it doesn't need your hand on the gun to go off. You know, there's no grip safety on an AR-15. It's just a little lever. All right. Continuing on. Already on heightened alert due to a nearby mass shooting, authorities converged at Harbor Gate Marina following Norton's incident. At the time, the officer had both of his hands on the gate, which was confirmed by later video evidence. Due to the officer not attempting to utilize his weapon at the time, all officers on scene believed the shots were being fired from the Marine area. North Myrtle Beach Police said in a Facebook post at the time, one law enforcement officer source who was on the scene told News 13 at least 100 plus officers responded before they knew what actually happened. Now, I do want to go ahead and see if I can actually find the complaint, because what is he alleging happened? Like, what is he alleging is the negligence for these guys? Right? That's what I'm confused about, because I still don't know exactly what he wants from Sig Sauer, if that makes sense.
If I had to guess, it's probably kind of similar to the airman situation, where it's one of those, I just fucked up. Oh, this company, in the airman case, it was this gun, but this company has a reputation for their guns going off. So I am going to push it on that. And obviously it's working because they're opening a lawsuit. So I think it kind of absolves him of a little bit of responsibility in the situation.
Well, so
my best guess.
here's something that's a little more in depth. So Norton blames a design flaw in the rifle for shooting and contends his hand was never on the trigger. Again, AR doesn't need your hand on the trigger. According to the complaint, Norton is suing Sig Sauer Inc. for product liability, negligence, and breach of implied warranty. His wife, Christy Norton, is suing for loss of consortium. Is that where your husband is no longer able to perform? Is that what that means? Yes. Loss of consortium refers to the loss or impairment of the intangible benefits of a relationship. One has found that loss of consortium is caused by a tortfeasor. How many tortfeasors do we have out in the chat? The victim's loved one may be able to recover reasonable damages arising from their loss of consortium. Loss of consortium claims were created in recognition that severe injury or death of a married person would cause great injury to their spouse. Yes, so obviously your husband losing a chunk of his leg and function of his left leg would affect the intangibles of a relationship, so to speak. So his wife is suing Sig for blowing her husband's dick off. I think that's the technical term.
Isn't that kind of a low blow though? Like from the wife, like, I just can't love you anymore because your leg got blown off.
Well, here's the thing. I hope that the medical he has through the law enforcement agency is good. But if he's not able to work again, there is a financial incentive for him and the wife to just say whatever to get as much money as possible, right? So I mean, like if I truly believed that I was injured through no fault of my own by a handgun or a rifle, right, whatever, I would legally pursue as much as I could. And if the lawyer is like, oh yeah, also have your wife file loss of consortium because of this, diabolical injury, right? Going through your left leg all the way down to your foot. The lawyer's like, listen, like, you just tag this on and you'll get more money, right? Even if the wife is, hopefully still by her husband's side and, that hasn't really affected the relationship in too deleterious a fashion. But yeah, I mean, I would just tack it on as a lawyer, right? Just get more money out of it. Why not? Shoot for the moon, okay? A rifle is, so anyways, he says that a rifle is defectively designed and unreasonably dangerous if it is capable of firing when the fire control selector is set to safe and without the user touching the trigger. So that's the thing that I don't even know how you would confirm that the rifle was still on safe. Right? Because what it sounds like to me is that the rifle safety came off and then the trigger was actuated, not the trigger managed to fire with the safety being on. Now, it is possible, however, and hopefully you'd be able to recreate this, like put the safety selector on that specific rifle and then jam something against the trigger to see if you can get the trigger to still go off. And if the trigger still goes off while the safety is on, then you have like a slam dunk case that Sig sold you a defective rifle. If that can be recreated, right? And that's the problem with a lot of the P320 stuff is a lot of it is like, well, we think it's defectively designed because it doesn't have a trigger blade safety, and therefore it's not the officer's fault that he shot himself while not wearing a holster, right? And that's a legit case for the P320. With this, however, if it is a defective safety and that can just be recreated, like that's basically a slam dunk win for the guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen an AR safety be defective in that manner, but also I don't have a ton of AR experience to where I would see everything like that.
I've seen AR triggers that do weird things for sure.
But
Right.
with the safety on?
And I've seen safety selectors not be installed properly. Like
True.
you don't have a detent or it slips. Like I've seen weird things happen for sure. And so if there is a defect with like the disconnector or the safety itself or something like that, and that can be proved in court, and especially if it's a factory M400, not going to be good. Not going to be good for him.
Maybe, I mean, in the article it shows a select fire model. Maybe he had just got done hosing a whole combat load into.
Well, his wife's upset because she can't get the combat load anymore.
Maybe he just got done doing that and it just cooked off. You know, have you ever thought about that, John?
I have not. It's possible. Remember, maybe it's cook-off. Yeah. While the full extent of the damage to stay is not, that's fine. Blah blah blah. The rifle modes include semi, turning it to semi-automatic rifle, pro, turning it into an automatic rifle, and safe. When the switch is in the safe position, the gun is not supposed to fire. The safe position prevents the firearm from firing by blocking the action of the trigger. Blah blah blah. Due to responded victims. So Norton said he followed all proper gun safety protocols while heading to the scene. He checked the rifle bolt and trigger to make sure his rifle was working properly, according to the complaint. Then he checked and confirmed his red dot, front dot sight, and rear sight were working accordingly. After rifle, chambered around, put it on safe. Let's see. I want to see to make sure. So his claim is that the safety was on at the time. So Norton has accused the gun manufacturer of failing to protect customers with the design of the M400 rifle. He also claims that the company should have warned about the gun being able to discharge unintentionally. Sig Sauer, and again, maybe this is just because it's the Sig M400 that he's trying to dogpile and maybe get a little bit of money out of Sig, but it is a new one. We have not yet seen somebody file for a Sig rifle accidentally shooting someone. So this is the first of its kind. But I don't know. We're probably going to have to wait a while to get real updates.
I think it's Jover for Sig. I don't think the 211, whatever the hell they just came out with, GTO hype gun pistol. I don't think that's going to save them. I think it's just over for them. Although I will say, I do like, and this is rare coming from me, I do like the Sig, 365 Fuse. Not a bad gun.
The Rose one specifically, right?
Yes,
the pretty one.
Specifically the Rose toy version.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. No, I think they're in a hole, man. I don't think they're going to be able to dig themselves out of this.
Now that guy's got a hole for sure, bro. Got a huge hole in his leg. M400 Rose toy edition. Yeah. Dude, that would be really embarrassing if in court it was the Rose edition that got him, that did the damage to him, so to speak. All right, gentlemen. Well, we're going to get to your support real fast, and then we will continue on with the gun news. Before we do, though, Jake and Richard, how many things wrong do you spot with this image?
Ooh,
quite a few.
2.
Skin tone, magazine backwards. I guarantee this.
Fingernails,
I guarantee
manicure,
you this is a
rubber grip.
right-handed shooter. So they transitioned to offhand to do a proper reload with the right hand because they're better with the right hand.
This is a Battlefield reload here. You know how they have all the wacky animations, like
Yeah.
switch to your left hand, throw the magazine in, do the press check over the top. Yeah, of course.
Is this a woman though?
Feminine. I don't know if it's a woman, but feminine.
What is the flashlight?
I've
never seen that.
We'll talk about it in a second. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay.
Sorry.
Because we had some huge support over here on Rumble. Baseball Kid gifted 1 subscription to Focus Trip. Appreciate that very much. Based. And then he follows up for $20 and says the OG Big Toe Money. And for $20, Baseball Kid, we appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Money, this is a song of the summer shit. You know it's fun. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. Hey, take money, big toe money. This is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. My feet feel good, your feet where they should. Y'all just sitting in the grass with a cigarette. Take money, big toe money. That's a bigger check. Walking in, everybody's.
Thank you very much for that, Baseball Kid. He follows it up for $1 and says, BTM full version that we spoke about on IG since the Jade version sucked toes. That version does actually suck. That is a terrible one. Baseball Kid follows up with another $20 and says, OG Big Toe Money to make a big old BTM sandwich. Hi, Jake. Hope you enjoy. We're going to save that for just a minute, Baseball Kid, because I am going to get that original version from the guy who made it, because I don't think I have that one handy.
You gotta shout out the guy who made it, John.
Around the Fire? Heck yeah.
Yeah, Around
I should
the
get him on the
Fire
show
LLC.
sometime. Yeah, I should get him on the show sometime so he can shout out
You
his
should.
channel and his business.
He's a
And
great dude,
he
small business
makes
owner.
a lot of this stuff. Mhm.
Makes amazing AI songs that I fucking hate. Check him out, dude.
But the chat loves it. Tarke over on Ko-Fi for 10, sorry, says $6 a gallon for 93 today. It wasn't this bad during the pandemic. F Trump, F Israel. I'm very close to adopting some very spicy opinions. Yeah, $6 a gallon will do that to you. That is rough.
But isn't it worth bombing brown people?
Listen,
Come
without
on,
$6
dude.
a gallon in gasoline, you think we could have afforded to blow up that school full of girls, children? Like, you think we could have done that without $6 a gallon? Think of what? Okay, you're sacrificing some money so that we can blow up kids in Iran.
That
Come
was
on.
one of our strategic goals. When Trump said we've achieved all of our strategic goals, that was on the list.
We
Blow up
must
the girls'
prevent
school.
the Iranian girls from becoming ethots in the next regime, so we're blowing them up. We're going to win and win bigly. Our opponents won't know what hit them.
I didn't
Double
want to
tap
do
and
it.
triple tap those kids. Don't take that out of context.
I didn't want to do it, but quite frankly, you should have seen it. It was really something.
Just like my friend Jeffrey Epstein used to say, F those kids. Savardic Psycho for 5 says F's in the chat for all the Rugas out there. Uh-oh, Raggy, where my Rugas at? Thank you, Sabardic. I appreciate that. King
I'm a proud
Callus.
Ruger owner. Ruger's great. No slander.
Oh, I was going to say, I also own a Ruger now because I have an RXM on the shelf behind me that I got to go shoot this week. So, King Callus for 5 says, has anyone seen Moon Man since racism got defunded? That's a good point. He's been around a little bit. He's busy beating up minorities, I think. Was he getting paid to drop mad cash to post based messages in the chat? It's possible. It's possible it was part of his Fed duties to, motivate the chat to commit a hate crime. Come on, do it.
He was literally the SPLC guy that they were donating $1 million to.
In a weird way, I do not doubt that I have received funds from some of these federal organizations attempting to, gain egress into our community. Like, I think that's something that's absolutely going to happen at some point. King Callus for 2 says he was a conspiracy theorist. And yeah, I mean, he was the top guy, our top Fed. Amorite Boy for 2 says, bad boy John, late again. Now I'll have to tell your mom. Well, she can't be mad. Like, we're gonna go see her next month. We're gonna hang out with the hoes in Washington. It's gonna be a great time. I mean, homies, sorry, not hoes. Thank you, Amorite Boy, appreciate it. Chud for 2 says BTM Kirk, let's effing go. Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it? Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens.
I didn't notice that the kid was Charlie Kirk for a second, and I did the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know, the whoa there.
Yeah.
I did that thing. It freaked me out.
Thank you, Chud. Zanico for 10 says, for my week-long absence, you didn't notice. I did notice, and I even watched your match footage today. You're so slow, dude. For my week-long absence, you didn't notice. Sam Hyde, please. Open shooter, 007, one Sunday, but I almost had him, bro. Christ is king. Christ is king. I appreciate it. How about, which Sam Hyde clip? How about this one?
Get that ugly, disabled freak away from me. I don't want to look at his fucked up face.
Thank you, Zanico. I appreciate it, sir. Rubicant for $20. Please talk about Golden Web versus Q 2.0. You know what? I had forgotten about that, but it is so funny. And thank you very much for the $20. That is incredibly based of you that we are going to talk about that one next.
Hey
That
guys,
is
they're back with
so funny. We are absolutely going to cover that. And for the $20, sir, thank you very much. Very based. Where's a good one? How about
Sorry, I don't speak monkey. Banana.
Thank you very much, Rubicant. Appreciate that, sir. We will get to that in just a moment. Glock Shooter for 5 says, after ROing Zanico on Sunday, I have to say he's pretty much Christian Sailor to more like Christian Sinker 2.0. Just give him a couple of years. All right, yeah, a couple of years. What's the better part of a decade between friends, right? No, but thank you, Glock Shooter 24. I'm glad that you're out there doing the hard work of ROing. Hashtag kill all ROs. Pauly B for 2 says, Richard, with a big Pete Campbell energy, not great, Bob. Not great. Thank you, Pauly B. Pauly B for another 5 says, go ahead.
Pete Campbell reference is crazy. That's crazy ball knowledge, bro.
Elite ball knowledge. Pauly B for 5 says, IV8888, coal posting on Maine. Literally coal posting on Maine. You hate to see it, but more than that, you'll love to see it. Thank you, Pauly B. Appreciate it, sir. Zany Co, member for 7 months. Almost had that. Focus Strip baby. It says, John, he's making fun of me. Make him stop. I can't make him stop if he's paying me, though. That's kind of in the rule book of the Focus Strip live show. You can say whatever you want as long as you're paying to say it. Everyday American for 2 says, wait, that wasn't photoshopped by some meme page? No, he saw that and decided to post it. He's like, you know what? I have a great idea. Blackface on Maine, which, again, in the Big 2-6, blackface is making a comeback. I've seen right-wing e-girls in blackface. I've seen regular chuds in blackface. I've seen your gun slop YouTubers in blackface. Okay, blackface is making a big comeback in 2026. Blackface stocks way up this year. Okay, don't short blackface stocks. Invest. Okay, buy the blackface meme coin right now. I'm calling it.
Would you say credit is up on blackface?
Yes.
Everyday American. I'm buying out shoe polish stocks around the world. Don't even play.
Everyday American for 5 says, you think we feds got feds in Scientology? Like actually in Scientology or just observing the group? It was there. If there ever was a cult to go full Waco on, that's the one I'd put on my bingo card in the government overreach game. They're a weird group of people for sure. There are strange men in that place. Everyday American for 2 says Nintendo is notoriously litigious. I'd watch it. Yeah, but I'm not sure if they hit you for copyright on their music because their music is used in like every gameplay video ever. So sometimes game companies are lenient on you if you if you're using their video game music, which is why I use a lot of video game music.
What about with midgets?
See, that's the interesting combo that Nintendo will also selectively sue. Right. So when they tried to give that guy like life in prison for selling modded consoles with their games, and it's like, oh, buddy. Everyday American for 5 says companies with government contracts don't have to innovate. That's very true. Checks keep coming and you just make what the government contracts you for and give the civilians the scraps. Oh boy, do I have a video about civilian scraps coming up. I finished the the script for my next video at like 4 o'clock this morning, 4:30 this morning, and it's going to be a banger polemic against everybody's favorite company. Thank you, Everyday American. Appreciate that. Everyday American for 5 says TrichiCon's well worth it when you get them for $200 to $300 off on tax swap when some poor sap needs his rent paid. Yes, if you're secondhand scalping them from mongoloids, then yes, it's not a bad deal. And I'm sure I know their military discount or their industry discount isn't terrible as long as you're set up as a direct dealer for them. Thank you, Everyday American. Appreciate that, sir. Extremely generous of you tonight. Chud for 2 says, when you sell cogs, there's no way to advance higher. Yeah, but everybody could agree that they could just update or introduce a couple new cogs and people would be much happier with them. But instead, they choose not to because they're lazy. Trigicon is lazy. Thank you, Chud. Appreciate that, sir. Understand for once for $20. That is very, very based. Thank you very much, sir. Says, I am on my 3rd suppressor, guys, rolling in the dough and spreading it around here as well. The fever has hit me. Please give me 3 recommendations for a 22/rimfire suppressor. Priority is lightweight and sound suppressor in this order. For a pistol, Jesus is king. Thank you. Jesus is God. Thank you very much. Understand for one. Much appreciated.
He also made another comment after the fact saying he forgot to remember, but under $500, which...
Ooh, under $500. Well... See, I'm not an aficionado in 22 suppressors.
I've heard Dead Air Mask is really good. I've heard that the Silencer Co. Switchback is very good.
The Silencer Co. Switchback or Sparrow?
No, the Switchback, not the Sparrow.
Okay. Because, I mean, that's the only nice thing about the 22
fantastic.
cans is that they are basically all under $500, right? So, like, the Huxworks Flow 22 is $399. The Silencer Co. Sparrow is $296. It's like they're all relatively inexpensive.
I'm sure
As far as,
some
like,
jackass out there makes one that's over $500 just because they hate you.
I mean, if you want to be gay, you could go with the El Camino, the 22 long rifle suppressor from Q. It's only $325. I mean, there's lots of silly names out there too. So the anechoic Pipsqueak 22, it's funny sounding.
What's
I mean,
the
with
one that
suppressed
Saw makes
the stealth. Oh, what? No,
the shill
the
or
ambient
something?
arms ones. Do you guys remember
the
the ambient
shill?
arms one? The Shiv? No, isn't the Shiv the tiny 9mm can?
I thought it was the shill for some reason.
Well, the shill is ironically the people who shill them, but yes. Titanium 22. I mean, yeah, there's lots of different options under $500. I would get with Beast Hayabusa and ask him his he's much more equipped to answer that question than we are, sir. But thank you very much. Understand for once that is very generous of you.
That is where I got my suggestions from for the mask and the whatever the other one I said was. But I think you should get the Q erector so you can make it as long as you want. Because that's funny. And Q.
Haha, funny phallic long thing. La 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 lol. Sheep Herder for 5 says, I got $5 towards Ruger shares. That combined with Jake's earning from Big Toe Money, and we should have enough to buy Ruger outright. Well, if we're gonna buy in at $45 a share, we
I got nothing. John.
Yeah, we don't hear you, John. Your mic went out. Did you hit your hotkey? This is riveting, guys. I thought it was me.
We're back.
I don't know.
We're back. Damn it. What was I talking about? Anyways, guys. So
something about $45 to buy in on Ruger.
Yeah, $45 to buy in on Ruger. So far we have about 6 shares. So if you guys all pitch in, we can take over Ruger instead of Beretta. Okay? We can compete with the 1.7. Thanks, Lucas. We can compete with Beretta in buying Ruger, and we will bring back the hard R line. Okay? and it's just going to be the N-word. It's going to be one gun. It's going to be a 40 cal LCP. It's going to be miserable to shoot, and it's going to be the hard R line with a single gun.
I think we could turn Ruger around if we did that. Do the hard R 40 cal and then maybe a 271 caliber bolt action. The model 1480. No, that's too on the nose. I can't. I'm done. I'm sorry.
A 14 gauge shotgun with an 88 round capacity. What are you talking about? We have the 271 Fury. It's a brand new cartridge. We released it on April 1st. That's a good idea. The 6 million shotgun, but when you buy it, it's only 271. No, Ruger's going places with us at the helm. Everyday American for 5 says, can we admit the RXM sucks? Probably the most uncomfortable feeling Glock clone garbage I've ever shot. Wow. I've done a lot of dry fire with the RXM over the last 2 weeks. I don't hate it. Not at all. I'm gonna be taking it out this week for sure. Put about 1,000 rounds through it on Thursday, I hope. And it feels fine. It's like a nice frame. The trigger feels terrible. I mean, it feels like a cheap Glock, which Glocks already feel like not like the best handguns out there. But saying that it sucks, I mean, the optics mounting is better than the Gen 6. The ergonomics are good. The magwell is good. The grip is fine, So as long as the thing runs, like, I'll be relatively happy with it.
I think what Lance said when he bought his was that he had to kind of handpick through them to pick the one that had the best trigger. So maybe there's some variability there, but like, I've never shot one. I've held them, and it's like, it's a Glock, dude. I don't know what to say about it. It's probably not that bad.
I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, we were comparing the numbers earlier, Lucas, and Ruger makes about $570 million worth of guns a year. And Beretta makes $1.7 billion a year in guns. So Ruger does make a lot. I mean, they're huge. Twice the size of Palmetto State Armory in terms of their production. Because I think Palmetto State Armory still does about $250 million a year in terms of sales. Whereas, again, Beretta is insane. Heathen from Texas for 5 says, so should I go? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with Lucas just said again. I'd take the RXM over the Shadow Sisters or the PSA Dagger. I agree. The Shadow Sisters is garbage. That's expensive, and the Dagger is also garbage.
If every Shadow Systems gun that I've ever bought or shot actually worked without breaking a firing pin or having failures to eject, I would like them a lot more. Because like ergonomically, like they feel nice. The grips are nice. It's like but they're way too expensive, and they just don't even run.
It's like the cool, tricked out hype beast Glock, dude. It's a custom Glock. It's so cool. But it's not. It's like
really not. It's
like
Ninja. At least
garbage.
It's not a Zev, right? At least you're not spending $1,800 on a Glock. On a basically stock Glock. Heathen from Texas for 5 says, so I should go ahead and order that 454 Casull Super Red Hawk Alaskan before it all dries up. Yeah, definitely get on that. There's a run on that specific caliber for sure, sir. Everyday American for 2 says, hey, Magpul just launched an LCP grip module, lol. Yes, no, they're Magpul and Ruger are doing a lot of good business together. On top of that, Ruger and Dead Air are also collaborating on a lot of their suppressors. So Ruger is expanding and doing pretty good business. Chips Dubbo for 5 says the Beretta CX4 was pretty neat in Battlefield 4. Apparently, there were lots of Russian contracts for it. What an odd gun. I would like to own one because it's like iconic and yeah, Battlefield 3 and 4, but
I think it's ugly. It's like not visually appealing.
Well, it comes from that line of polymer framed, like polymer bodied PDW/PCCs, where it's just a lot of material. Like a P90.
CX4.
There's a
P90,
lot of plastic.
F2000.
Yep.
That kind of
100%.
stuff. Yeah, I
mean, even the other Beretta fish gun, the ARX. Right? 160,
it reminds me of the cars in the early 2000s that just went super bubbly and like smooth, and they had these big rounded body panels, and they just kind of looked weird. They looked really ugly. I don't know.
Lightspore for 2 has a question for Jake. Says, Jake, can you eat it from back? Thank you, Lightspore. No. That's a very inappropriate question.
No plus fuck you.
Oh my gosh.
Plus, I love you. Okay, Lightscore,
all right.
you are a buddy.
Gep Gekadal for 5 says LVMPD used revolvers for a long time training scar moment. Fun fact, they removed a bunch of red dots from their allowed pistol sights. They are FUDs. Oh, well, that's too bad.
We got Golden Web in the chat, John. The man
Well, good.
himself.
We're about to talk about Golden Web because it's so funny that it happened twice. Okay, the first time was hilarious. It's even funnier the second time though. Sheepherder for 5 says CEO of Sig Sauer will get out of this quagmire by invoking right of return and disappearing into the kibbutz. We will all be left with the bill. Yeah, Ron Cohen's like, I gotta go to Israel. I'm going there. I'm a new CEO of IWI. Oh, the Goyim have woken up.
Well,
they know that the Sigs are trash.
They won't extradite him, will they? I don't think they will.
Well, Americans cannot. Sorry, we cannot extradite from Israel. They do not have an extradition treaty from there. They, however, can get people from America, like that one pedo who assaulted Jewish children. He got extradited from America to Israel. However, the reverse does not happen.
I mean, that's in the Talmud, literally. Like, you can't do that to Jewish kids.
Yep.
The Gentiles, God's not watching the Gentiles.
Josh for 2 says, Jake, Ruger has made 2 quote-unquote good products in 30 years.
Okay. I don't know what his list is. The 2 Ruger products I have is a 1022, which is a classic, and I like it a lot. I got it when I was like 14, and a Ruger Security 9, which was my first handgun that I got when I was broke, and I carried it so much that the freaking slide rusted to the barrel. Okay, and I obviously didn't clean it very well. I never once had a malfunction with that gun in like the 2,500 or 3,000 rounds that I fired it. So it was shitty. Like the surface finish, horrible. Not a great gun, but like as far as malfunctions go, it performed really well, especially for the price of like, I don't even remember what it was, like $250 or something. It's like super stupid cheap at the time.
One of my favorite pistols is my Ruger SR22. It's a little hammer fired double action 22, and it runs. It doesn't have any problems with it. It runs any ammo, and it's got a nice trigger. I shoot the shit out of it, and it runs better than the 1022s. I'll say that.
Lightsport for 5 says, since racism has been defunded, I'm sad Hawkeye's still here. Here's hoping he gets banned soon. Hawkeye. Poor Hawkeye. Thank you, Lightsport. Chips Double for 2 says, how much for the Ben Shapiro spazzing out clip? $2 is more than enough. I think the whole thing's like 2 seconds long. Thank you, Chips Dubbo. Hope that helps your day. CM Scar for 2 says, Christ is king. God bless you all. God bless you, CM Scar. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Rogue Centurion says, lots of love for the Focus crew. God bless. God bless you as well. Thank you, Mr. Actually, I was wearing his shirt earlier, the Legionnaire apparel, which you guys should go check out for shirts. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, sir. Weekend Gunner, who you should check out for sun hoodies, which I have way too many of, says, Jake, stay strong. We love you. There you go. Yeah, heck yeah.
I'm repping the Weekend Gunner merch right now. I love you too, Lance. He's a really great guy.
That's
and he
right.
makes stuff like
he makes stuff. He's gonna also be featured in my next video.
And he shoots sometimes. He's not great though.
He's not very
not
good
as good
at
as
it,
Logan.
He does keep trying though, so that's good. Thank you, thank you, Lip. Frog Commander for 10 says, I shot my first USPSA match yesterday. Mega base, lots of fun. Waiting to see where I classed. USPSA website says no classifier on record. Thank you for inspiring me to try it. Well, was it a classifier match? Do you have an account with USPSA? Because I think you got to give them like $60 to actually have those classifiers count towards your record. Now, however, if you do the classifiers without a USPSA account, you just need to retroactively add your USPSA number to those classifiers and send an email to your area director, and they can add those classifiers to your account, because I had to do that with my first couple of classifiers. So, but I am glad to hear it. USPSA is very fun, and you should definitely do it. It's low cost. It's a couple of hours, and it's good experience if you've never done it before. You know, you don't have to make it to GM or anything, but just go out there and get it done. Thank you, Frog Commander. I appreciate it. Lost Arrow for 5 says, for my favorite single mom, Jake. Yes, Jake's dogs bring all the bros to the yard. Thank you, Lost Arrow.
I'm getting so much love tonight. I'm almost starting to forget that people like hate me, you know? It's
Nobody
really
hates you.
nice.
Nobody here hates you.
A couple people do. But
Jury
that's okay.
Seller for 2 says, Jake, you were hilarious.
I were.
You were? I am. Chud
anymore.
Holden. Great name. Gun guys hate to see the humble revolver Chud Salat.
My favorite revolver is also a Ruger, the GP 100.
Dub Wide says Jake turns the camera off to drink Fireball. We all know it's Henny.
No.
We all know it's Henny.
I actually was turning off the camera to drink, but I was drinking 4 Roses. So not Fireball.
Right.
Different.
Right. Thank you,
4
Chud
Roses.
Holden. Appreciate
Don,
that.
I already saw that face. It's a good whiskey. It's cheap and it's very good.
I'll take you.
Isn't
word for it.
Fireball also a whiskey?
Fireball is not legal in most countries. It's like antifreeze. It's not a real. It's not something that people should be drinking.
About the socks.
True. The Prepared Father for 2 says, anyone want to be my wife's boyfriend? Nope. Hey, you're also featured in my next video, Prepared Father. Heathen from Texas for 5 says, the first Ruger gun I ever got was a U Security 6 and 357 mag. I don't want to get a 1022 takedown with, Wait, I don't want to get a 1022 takedown with an integrally suppressed barrel? I mean, then don't. That's weird. All right. Thank you, Heathen from Texas.
Thanks for letting us know, dude.
Thanks that you don't want that. Okay. Regular guy trading for 2 says, isn't Legionnaire apparel, by the way, a fat weirdo? Well, he's not fat, but he does hang out here. So weirdo confirmed. Thank you, regular guy training. Appreciate it, sir. Amorite Boy for 2 says, we don't hate you, Jake. We just love the dogs more. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Amorite
whatever
Boy.
you say, man.
Famous dogs. Paulie B for 10 says, Jake, you have the eminently correct take on early 2000s American car styling. I was 16 when 9/11 happened. That's supposed to be nostalgia maxing, but no, cars then were all eye cancer. I think there was, outside of JDM cars, I think there was a drought between 2005 and the mid 1980s or even earlier, where there was almost no good looking American cars.
I agree.
That's my take. Thank you, Paulie B. I appreciate you. Very based. All right. Now, excuse me, as I struggle to speak, we are going to get to the 2.0. All right. It was funny the first time. It's even funnier the second time. The Q Sugar Weasel Meltdown 2.0. Now, this caused a bunch of drama. If you guys remember the first time that Golden Web, this fine young man you're seeing on screen, did the burn down of the Q Sugar Weasel, which is like a, Q will talk it up as some sort of really nice premium tier AR. It is not very premium at all. I don't like many Q products. In fact, it is more difficult for me to find a Q product that I like than that I'm indifferent to. Their triggers are not great. Their design and build philosophy is not interesting to me at all. Some people love the 8.6 blackout or the 1-in-3 twist barrels or whatever it happens to be that they make. And it's all like, meh. I've shot a fix. Man, did I hate that. Maybe that's the worst rifle ever made is the Q fix. What a terrible idea. Terrible platform. Feels like garbage. Jeez. Anyways, glad that I didn't buy that. Geez, sorry, Brass Facts.
And they're how much?
I shot Brass Facts' fix, and that was terrible. Terrible rifle. Awful. But anyways, so Golden Web decided to do a burn down on the Sugar Weasel, which is like their generic AR, a couple months ago now, I think at this point. And it got the lowest score of all time at 161 rounds. Is that correct?
I think the high point, no, I think it was 200. And I think the high point was worse after the fact, but it was the lowest.
At the time of release, it was the lowest.
He's in the
score
chat.
out
He
there.
can correct us if we're wrong on that.
Okay,
But
well,
you want to know something that this is just a side note. When I think of Q products, like the when you go to a furniture store or something and they got the bowl of fake fruit on the table,
Mhm.
it looks real good. It looks like fruit. Then you touch it and it's like squishy little grapes or like a foam orange or something. That's like Q products, looks good, but it's not real. Because a real gun wouldn't do that. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
okay, that is actually hilarious. Yeah, so the only gun that it's beat is the literal cheapest AR ever made, the High Point 15. The Q Sugar Weasel, 2 separate guns at 200 rounds each, which actually, what's funny is if you combine both Sugar Weasels, there's still 150 rounds off of a Bear Creek arsenal. If you combine both of them together, there are 150 rounds off of a Bear Creek arsenal. Now, the number one is the BRN4 with the short heavy barrel, that's pretty impressive. Number 2, the Geisley H bar, which is a custom upper. I think it had a special gas tube and some other stuff. But the top 2 are insane. 1,700, 1,600 rounds, a insane amount of fire going through those barrels. Realistically, anything above 500 is fine. Like, you don't need to go more than 500. It's not even really relevant at that point. Like, there's no way physically possible for you to put that many rounds through an AR in such a short time frame in a realistic scenario. Really, this is fun, right? This is a leaderboard that's fun. Does it matter? No, but it is fun. All right. It's fun to see how your favorite rifle stacks up to another rifle in terms of, where will it die at? Okay. BRN and Geisley guys eating pretty good. The red right hand is up there at about 1,000 rounds as well. The bottom tier though, yeah, I still can't believe that the ATI plastic upper receiver beat the Q Sugar Weasel twice by 50%. A literal plastic piece of crap beat it by 50%. Anyways, let's see how much of this video can we actually check out. Gotta be careful here with the YouTube censorship on Zig guns.
It beat it by 50%?
Right? Because it was I can't go back down to it now, but it was like 295 versus 200, so it's 50% higher round count. Yes. Anything else, Richard?
No, I thought it said 395. I've got.
Oh, if it was 295, then it was double. I thought it was 295, but anyways.
If you are watching this video is 100% YouTube compliant. The magazines we use are 29 round YouTube compliant magazines. The lower we are running is a semi-automatic lower. It is not fully automatic. Everything we have.
I do love how we all just say the same things and it's just complete lies. This is what's known as a lie. It's a little white lie. Okay, I'll give you a pass on it, but we all just lie. I try not to bring it up at all, right? I don't mention it. I don't talk about it. I try not to mention prices in my videos, but it's like, yeah, it doesn't go through TOS. It doesn't meet that muster, but that's okay. It's all right.
Here is 100% YouTube compliant and federal and state and local law regulated and compliant. We do not sell firearms. For anybody watching this video to believe we're doing anything out of the ordinary, whatever, every bit of this is script and we're not even shooting real.
I'm actually very interested to see how Sons of Liberty Gun Works Mark 1 does, because I have one and I dislike it. So I'm actually rooting for it to fail. I'm rooting for it to do badly.
Bullets. So that being said, guys, enjoy the meltdown. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right. So let me take this down here because I want to see. He's going to shoot it, obviously. Oh, shoot. Let's do this real fast because I have to skip the shooting portion, of course. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, let me drop the link for this in the Rumble and the YouTube chat for all of you wonderful gentlemen out there. But can I just get to the point where they show us what the gas tube looks like? Oh, it did the same thing. So anyways, 200 rounds. And the gas tube made out of aluminum and Play-Doh and a little bit of used beer cans turns into a snake at 200 rounds. And this is if I remember correctly, the exact same failure point as the first Q Sugar Weasel, which, depending on how you want to square this, is either a complete joke for the material selection or the fact that Q makes a very consistent product. You know, their QC is actually very good.
Didn't Micah's do the same thing?
No, so that's the problem, right? So Micah had originally put out a video kind of responding to Golden Web, where he shot the gun out in the desert, I want to say, much slower, long breaks. They had to load up some magazines, I think, at one point, right? And it went
And they
like
took a
5, 6, 7,
30-minute
800
break.
rounds. Well, yeah, so it went like a long period of time, and he was like, "See, look,
Maybe
Sugar
in
Weasel
the
does
gas
just
tube.
fine."
But then the secondary video that
Yes,
he
and then
put
he
out,
got called out, being like, "Hey, this is not the same thing. This is not what Golden Web does. This is not an analogous test. This is nothing like that." And then he put out the video shill.mp4, which is funny, obviously. He's a little sensitive about that type of stuff. And then it failed, I think, in the mid 200s. Right?
and if I remember correctly, the gas tube looked very similar to this.
Yeah, I don't know what gas tubes they're using, but they are just garbage. They are just terrible. Now, gas tubes are the weakest link. Like, just obviously, they're a tiny tube of, you know, stainless steel in most cases. I don't know what Q is using, but in general, generally, it's stainless steel. It's a very thin piece of metal that's elongated that touches your gas block in your bolt carrier group. And once that goes, well, there's no more transfer of gas, and your gun doesn't run, right? So Q, and again, it's not like this is that big of a deal for the application of a Sugar Weasel, but if you're going to pretend that your guns are high quality and they're really nice, then you should probably just, you know, whoever you're getting your gas tubes from, you should switch and maybe go with something like a, I don't know, an Inconel, or not necessarily an Inconel, sorry, like a nitrided tube or something like that to try and help out a little bit. Zorp says, do we want to invite Golden Web? We can. Does he want to come on and talk about it? Because it is quite funny.
Yeah, he can have my spot because I am going to have to get out of here and go to bed, guys. I got to get up in just a couple hours. So,
well, again, we're not going to be talking about this for that long, but if he wants to come on and hang out, it's not a problem with me. Let me copy the invite link and send it to him. There he is. All right. Golden Web, I sent you the stream invite on Instagram. So if you wanna hop on here, feel free, and we will talk amongst ourselves for the moment while we're waiting for you.
Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out of here, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night, Richard. Appreciate you, sir.
Bye, Richard.
Bye.
Chat, say something nice about Richard. Lightspore for 5 says, I'll send legal quote unquote promises to anyone who doesn't like you, Jake. Aw, it's very nice. So we got Jake Defenders in chat. Thank you, Lightspore. All right, well, that was fast. How's it going, sir?
Very nice. So we got
Pretty good. I'm trying to watch myself on the TV and on here, and I'm trying to figure out which one I need to cut off first.
Yeah. Well, as long as you can hear us and see us, then you'll be all good. As long as it doesn't, you know, echo the audio or anything else like that. How is your night going, sir?
Pretty good. Just day off work, so enjoying it as best I can, I guess.
Heck yeah. Well, tell me, where did you get the second upper from that you just tested on Q?
So, you know, the first one we actually sent off to Q, and we just sent them a direct email. I mean, my emails, if anybody knows really who I am, you know, is ben.web10@hotmail.com. So send it in. They was like, yeah, send it in. We'll fix it. This, that, and the other. The video had already went live at this point. So they had to get it and know, like, this is the one that he just melted down. But they fixed it, sent it back to us. They replaced the gas block, gas tube. Man, I think even barrel and bolt carrier group on it. Like, it legit, if I do recall correctly, was just the only thing that wasn't replaced was handguard and upper receiver and probably the charging handle. Now, the second one, this one that we just melted today, or, you know, released a video for yesterday, I guess, we actually messaged Optics Plans like, hey, man, you know, people's going off the deep end wanting to see a second one, saying, you know, was this a fluke? Was this just something going wrong with this? They said, sure, we'll send it. So got Kyle together, got everybody, you know, loaded up mags, and we got out there, you know, wanting to see.
Not very many mags.
Yeah, not well. Truthfully speaking, we got about 7,000 rounds of loaded ammunition at any time. But yeah, we got it ready in case something ever went off the deep end. But yeah, with the H bar, what's it called? The 416 H bar. That being our most record setter, we've got at least 3,000 rounds there on the table and in the box below it in case it actually gets to that point. But that rifle or that upper that we melted right there, that was actually from Optics Planet itself. So they grab them right off the shelf, send them to us, and we open them up and melt them.
So, have you guys taken them apart and looked at the gas tubes themselves?
So the reason that we don't take them apart is, we used to in our original videos, and some people, we could tell by the way that people was viewing them, nobody's really viewing to that point, and it was adding on to it. And is that, as well as I do, whenever somebody doesn't watch your video up to the point that you made it to, it hurts how well it reaches and everything else. So, we've had a handful of people request to see that. And, I actually thought about, making a separate video on the meltdown just to take it apart. That being said, though, especially with some of these bigger, higher end uppers that don't really do good, such as the Knight's Armament and the Q and all that, we want to leave it as integrally as possible. That way, they can't say, "Oh, he went in there and beat this one to death here to make it look worse," or take it apart and switch it out with one that we burnt down a long time ago. We want it to be exactly as it is. So if we plan to send it on to the company, they will get it exactly how it was whenever we fire the last round through it.
Gotcha. So has there been a response from Q, or have they messaged you since this second video goes up?
No, I haven't heard a thing from them. I really never did hear anything from them in the beginning, but a lot of my followers have messaged them, saying, "Hey, why did this happen? Or do you all plan on doing a recall or plan on fixing this?" And, one of the biggest comments we got is that, he said everything was gay or whatever else, and that, this test really doesn't mean anything. And we was like, okay. That's it. But no, he actually, let me take it back. Does this stay live if I take off this screen and I can read you exactly?
Yeah,
Maybe.
you'll be good.
Let's see
You
here.
should
It
stay
was
live.
on my Insta, but I guess I'm using Insta right now. So he sent me a message and I actually made a short and maybe a post out of it, but I can't really recall right off top. But if I'm not mistaken, he also said, yeah, it was gay and it this, that, and the other. But no, nobody from Q has said anything about this test yet.
Interesting. Well, because what I'm curious about here, right? So if you have this upper receiver that has failed in the exact same way twice, if you just switch out the gas tube to anybody else's gas tube of reputable manufacturer, right? And repeat the test, and let's say, just for sake of argument, it goes twice as long or 3 times as long, then that's actually valuable information to Q, because they should know that whoever they're getting their gas tubes from, they're garbage. They should stop using those gas tubes. Now, if it continues to fail even with other aftermarket gas tubes, then maybe there's something else going on in the system that's causing them to heat up so fast and melt like this, to where they have a carrier strike and then bends like this so poorly. But that is something that would be interesting for me to see. I would be interested in that, to see if it is literally just Q's crappy gas tubes.
And see, we've already got a bunch of messages asking, "Hey, melt the one that Q sent back to you all." Once again, I can only, use common sense here. A video releases of a guy burning down a upper, then we get an upper end that's absolutely destroyed. I don't know if they replaced it with exact same parts or what, but I mean, I'm open to melting that one again. It's literally still in the box. I haven't even opened it up from whenever I received it back from Q. It's in the box in my office, just sitting there. So I mean, we'll probably melt that one down. And somebody was like, "Hey, put in a V7 Inconel gas tube in it and melt it." And I'm like, we might do that as well. With these here, we've received a lot of requests, while we've been doing these, saying, "Hey, just put the biggest, baddest gas tube in these and see how long it is until you get a barrel rupture, till the gun just stops working." And we're not against doing that, don't get me wrong, but for these tests here, I want them to be just like if me, you, or anybody else bought one from Primary Arms, Optics Planets, wherever else, Bowtac, and just grabbed it, and they grabbed it, shipped it to us, and that's what we get. So, and actually the barrel profile on that Q Sugar Weasel, it is one of my favorite barrel profiles, because it's thick whenever it actually matters, coming straight out of the handguard, straight out of the breech face, and it thins out as it goes. And technically speaking, in my opinion, that's the best barrel profile of the market. I mean, I love my H bars. I love my mid-length or not mid-length, but midweight barrels. But at the same time, that barrel profile, it's thin out front and not much weight on your secondary hand, swinging from targets left to right, actually using it as what a rifle should be used for. Them barrel profiles are hard to beat. And that's why I was so shocked with the first one. With the second one, knowing what we knew from the first one, I was like, Not gonna be shocked if this one goes down, but now you can see at the main end of that, the shooting portion. Kyle looks at me and he's like, "It's the exact same roundage," and I'm like, "You're kidding me?" Because I was like, "Oh God, here we go." So it's just it blows my mind, to be honest with you, that you can probably say upper for that expensive and put a gas tube that, I mean, literally a ATI Omni hybrid beat, and a lot of more, BCA. I mean, and then PSA is actually sending us two uppers. Their most expensive upper, their Sabri line, and their I literally went on their website, found the cheapest rifle upper that they sell, and I wanted to send the cheapest and the most expensive. We've already got the Sabre in. We're still waiting for the cheapest, but we're going to melt them down too. And I'm sure that the PSA will more than likely beat this one.
Well, so for those of you guys wondering what a Q Sugar Weasel goes for, brand new for a full rifle, it's about $2,000. It's about $2,000. Now, it's actually funny because usually a company might be a little bit apprehensive sending you an upper, right, to compare against some of these other high-end brands. But with Q doing so poorly, like, they have to be fairly confident, like, hey, at least we'll beat Q, okay? We can't do worse than Q. So let's send Golden Web something. And no matter how bad it goes, at least it beats Q and High Point, right? Because I think High Point's now the lowest at like 150 rounds, which is like pathetic, right?
Yeah.
And what was the failure point on the High Point? Was it also the gas tube or was it something else?
Gas tube on the High Point, if I do recall correctly. We got with guns.com and made that one, and it was where he's actually coming back. I think we're going to be doing a Smith & Wesson Sport 3 and maybe Radical, something along them lines. But I don't know how much I can say about that one because me and him had to talk a little bit of behind the scenes, I guess, on the High Point. But there were some people mad up in the higher ranks of High Point over that one.
Well, that is what happens when you send people videos or send people products. Like, what happens, though. So, I mean, that just is what it is.
We even messaged High Point ourselves like, hey, I know that you upset over this video, whatever else, but send us another one. We don't care a bit to melt another one. And, it's crickets. But at the same time, if we got another High Point in and it went 500, 600, 700, 800 rounds, people be like, well, they cherry picked that one and built that one from factory. So, you're kind of, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
If I was a scummy company, I would be like, okay, yeah, we'll send him another one. This one with a Inconel gas tube or something else. And we're just, we're not going to mention that it's different, and then it's going to do really well. And we're going to be like, see, High Point, we're a little inconsistent, but we have good quality, right?
Right. And see, that's what I could see them doing. And that's like why a lot of people's asking for me to melt that one that Q actually sent back to us fixed. And like I said, I'm open to it. Kyle just had his baby. So we're probably about 3 to 4 months or 3 to 4 weeks out about doing another meltdown. We try to at least get 6 or 7 meltdowns on the same day, either that being suppressors and uppers or just suppressors. But that's one that we will more than likely do. I mean, I'm not against it.
Well, I mean, you should, because it's not going to cost you anything in ammo, and people are going to want to see it. Because imagine the pure comedy, the pure poetry of the third upper failing at, again, the exact same round count. Imagine how funny that would be. Okay, it's going to keep the Q meme going forever.
Oh, I mean, and I've got nothing against Q. People's like, oh, well, he hates Q or this, that, and the other. I know that Q and Otter Creek Labs, they've had their differences, don't get me wrong. And I'm really good friends with the owner of Otter Creek Labs. I love Andrew to death. But still, I try to be, like I said, straight across the board. I mean, I'm not, and I love LMT now, and I love Geisley. So don't get me wrong, I love them boys. But even if for some reason something went wrong with one of them rifles, whatever else, I still wouldn't hide it from the public, because if you don't have integrity, then what do you have? I mean, it's
nothing. That's right. You can sell your integrity once.
You can.
You can't buy it back.
But you can't buy it back. Ain't that the truth?
Once it's gone, it's gone. Well, sir, do you mind? I think we got a couple questions in here for you. Do you mind hanging out for a minute and taking some questions real fast?
Oh yeah, I'm open all night, brother.
All right, here we go. Well, Matt's Mark for 5 says, and Kevin had the nerve to call him gay after the first video. He should swing south and say it to Webb's face.
I mean, boys, it's not I understand the term gay now. It's not a derogatory term as it used to be in the early 2000s or 90s or whatever else. He can think what he wants to, but at the same time, the proof is in the pudding. whenever you've got that video showing that, I don't. It is what it is. I mean, there ain't no getting around that.
Right. I think Kevin just has a bruised ego, so to speak. Right.
I'd say he does. I'd have a bruised ego too if I sold a rifle for $1,700 or $1,800 and it done that.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Especially when you keep talking it up. Now, very important question.
Yes.
Josh for 5 says, Golden Web, is there any chance we could?
Is there any chance we could test?
Is there any chance we could test how many full power loads Jake could take? Jake could take before failure. Oh, geez, I don't know. How many loads do you think Jake can take, Golden Web?
No.
Do you think he beats Q? Okay, I need to know. Does Jake beat Q, or does Q still have a leg up on him, so to speak?
So you're gonna have to fill me in a little bit. Who's Jake?
I'm Jake. Hi,
Oh,
how are you?
howdy, brother. Good to meet you.
I just get roped into this shit, man. I don't know.
Lots of ropes.
Oh my god. I don't know, buddy. Lord have mercy.
Excuse me, I'm dying here. Whoa, all right. Rubicant for 10 says, where does Here's Tito come from, Golden Web?
Okay, so I know I've got a southern accent. I live in southeast Kentucky, which is, I mean, you know, actually in the 2012 consensus, we had the #1 ranked worst county to live in America per capita for, you know, drug use and all that. But I'm proud of it, boys. Let me tell you. But we all sound like this down here. I'm actually, you know, I've got 2 bachelor's degrees. I might sound like a heel jack, and I'm a hybrid, but at the same time, so what I'm saying is, here's to you, dog. Like, here is to you, dog. It comes from a old video from a guy named O.H. Napier. He's got a high point pistol, and he's talking about 2 Tennessee bounty hunters come up here to Kentucky to try and find a guy, and he pretty much killed them both. Not O.H., but this other guy he knew, and he takes a high point out, points it straight up in the air, and says, "Here's to you, dog," and pow. And his wife's like, "I can't hear a thing, man." I mean, it's literally the most southeastern Kentucky person that you could ever find. I'll send you a link to it later on, but I mean, that's where it come from. And like, you know, when we first started Meltdowns, I was like, what is something that we can say before the meltdown begins? And Kyle and me and him and John was just looking around. He's like, "How about here's to you, dog?" And I said, "All right, then, there we go."
All right. There's lots of questions here about the accent. So Josh, who's from California, so he's a city boy. He says, "Holy crap, does this Golden Web guy speak English?"
You know, man, and I actually was talking with some of my YouTube representatives one time, and they was talking about, like, you know, how I've said a full gun place before, and you're like, you can't put words from and all that. And, you know, you said dollar amounts and everything, but YouTube algorithm cannot understand your language enough to be able to see what it is. So they're like, that's actually been better for your channel because they can't understand you. But yeah, I can speak proper English when I need to, but at the same time, I am who I am. Why should I lie about who I am?
Can you do a British accent?
Hell, I don't know. What's a British person sound like?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just thought that would be a funny combination of accents. Let's see. Zany for 2 says, do a Hodge burn down, Golden Boy.
So we messaged Hodge probably about 2 years ago. We never heard nothing back from them. You know, Opt Explain It is our main sponsor for uppers. You know, we've had a few others here and there, such as Brown Ales. But you know, we don't really make any money from these. Obviously, it's automatic weapons. It's fully automatics. You know, that the disclaimer we say in the beginning of it, it's kept us on YouTube. Now, whenever I had like 600,000 subscribers, my channel got fully taken down for like 9 hours. And, you know, a bunch of the guys from YouTube or from the gun tubers got a hold of YouTube and was like, bring him back. I had to do a little editing here and there, take down some links. But, you know, safely speaking, I've been safe from YouTube since 600,000 on. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. But no, with Hodge, we don't really make enough money, man. I'm still full-time police. I'm law enforcement. I've got a full-time job. I don't expect, you know, and even like I know you was talking about earlier in the stream or in one of the videos I was watching earlier from you, you said, you know, a lot of the gun tubers look at this as something to where they will focus on this for the rest of their lives. This is all they ever want to do. You know, I've still got a wife. I've got 2 kids. I've realized that, you know, YouTube, I could wake up in the morning and my whole entire channel be gone. And, you know, the only thing I can say is that I'm happy for what we've done. It's been a wild ride. And, you know, this is time I've got to spend with my dad that I, you know, probably wouldn't have got to spend with. So I'm looking at the positive aspects of it. But I know that this is something that will not last forever. So I still have to be a normal person outside of YouTube. And, you know, anybody that does gun tubing, I would advise that same thing, because be smart with your money. You know, don't blow it all on crazy stuff. I mean, it is what it is. This this platform here is too volatile for people like me and you. It just doesn't last, because, like I said, I could wake up in the morning, my whole entire channel be taken down. And if I relied only on GunTube for my money, I would be broke in about 6 months.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, YouTube is very volatile for people who do political content, or if they do
Yeah.
gun content. And like you said, you can wake up and it's all gone. So the proper way that people should view this is as a temporary measure, something that you can do on the side,
Yep.
maybe a hobby, but I don't think it's an old man's game. You know, do I expect to be doing this in 40 years when I'm pushing retirement age? Like, I hope not. Geez. You know, it's like I hope that there's something else that I can move on to. Not that it's not fun, not that I don't enjoy what I do, but you know, you got to diversify. You got to be able to do other things. You got to have a second set of income, and you got to be prepared for the day when it all goes away.
You really do. I mean, that's just the only way to look at it, because, you know, I've enjoyed the times where I've got to go like Smith and Wesson, and like, you know, we haven't even went to SHOT Show. I'm scared to death to fly. So I'm probably going to end up driving to SHOT Show next year or something like that. But, you know,
Oh
like
well,
goals,
shot
GOAs.
show's fun. If you want to come and hang out, we'll meet
I've
up
heard
at
that it
shot.
is very fun, and I think that would be something I'd love to do. But like, you know, 30, 35, 36 hours of driving straight to get there, that's pretty rough.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Let me
especially
go ahead,
with the
Jake.
loss of Spirit Airlines, you know.
Oh yeah, man. I heard that right there would have been funner than I'll get out to get home.
Yeah, dude. Now, how else are you gonna get to Vegas now if you can't spend $200 on a flight?
Buddy, like I said, I guess we'll just drive. You know, something else, like Andrew from Otter Creek, he's scared to fly too. He's drove every year, and he's like, "This is last year I'll ever come back to SHOT Show," because I think it took him like 4 days to get back due to the ice storm.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That ruined a lot of people's days. We had a couple guys that
Yep.
had to fly out a day early, otherwise they were going to be stuck. You know.
Yep.
Well, all right, sir. We are going to move on with the show. I'm going to drop your links in the chat once again. But if there's anything else you want to shout out before I kick you out of here, sir, let the good folks know.
Boys, we appreciate you as a support. We appreciate you as always. And focus, buddy. Anytime you want me on the channel, just let me know. I can have a little bit better of a setup than what we've got right here. I'm just sitting in my comforter chair, just watching your videos, and I said, "No, well, I'll just jump on with them." But
Well, I
yes,
appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. We will definitely have you on again in the future. Go check out Golden Web. Go watch his video. His channel link is in the chat on both YouTube and Rumble. Thank you very much, sir, and you have a wonderful night.
see you, boys. Here's to you, dog.
See you. That was a wonderful conversation.
Fuck you, Josh. Just for the record.
Dude, that I laughed so hard. That was good. That was good. No, but I appreciate Golden Web. Go check him out. I know there was a lot of anti-hillbillyisms in the chat, all right? But listen, like that was wonderful. Just a down-to-earth guy with a good head on his shoulders, and he makes burn downs for all of us to enjoy. That was very nice. It was very, very nice. First time I've ever actually talked to him. We've messaged a little bit, but that's the first time I've ever talked to the man. So that was very nice.
He seems like a good guy. He probably doesn't even know what the hell an UMA is. So that's how I know. That's how I know he's got a good head on his shoulders.
I'm glad nobody asked him about Girls Frontline 2 or Uma Musume or any of this other stuff. All right. All right. Well, let's get back to this image, which we were talking about like 2 hours ago now at this point, Jake. How many things are wrong with this?
Probably
I'm going to say, yeah,
okay.
Women and skin tone. So there's two.
Backwards magazine, switching hands with the pistol to reload.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell that light is. So I don't know if that's something that's wrong with it. I don't
know either, but I'm just gonna say yes because it looks so cheap. So that's 5. And I'm also gonna give something else wrong for the rubber grip pad on there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say slide lock reload.
Yeah,
but I guess there's some instances where you have to do it, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. Lots of things wrong here. If you ever get into this situation, just know that your quote unquote hard skills were not up to par. You are not good enough to be sanctioned to carry a firearm in the line of duty. Okay. You have failed in so many ways. It is difficult to number them all on screen. And I'm sure if we had the full video of this individual dumping every round from their first magazine, it would get even worse because I'm guessing the hit percentage is low, if not zero.
Yeah, I think if this individual would have stopped shooting a little early, relaxed, and not done a revolver reload, and
Yeah,
just did a
strong.
little
We
maybe
can't reload.
reload before you're empty. Just top it off. I don't know. There could be multiple officers here. We don't know the situation, but whatever the situation is, this is not. This might be acceptable in girl boss world. This is not acceptable in anything serious. So
Yeah, not in the real world. I would not feel comfortable with this police officer responding to a call or operating a firearm anywhere within me and my family. Because imagine like you're just a bystander, right? You're walking down the street, you're getting groceries with your family, and this cop is dropping full magazines into the ether. It's like I'd prefer, I'm actually safer if you just let the criminals go. You're actually actively making the situation much more dangerous.
yeah, I mean, is it better than the officers at the correspondence dinner running away, or is this worse?
Well, I think this is worse because remember, it's not confirmed yet who shot the one Secret Service agent, whether it was the perpetrator or whether it was another Secret Service agent. So imagine those three women that we saw in the beginning also shooting just random bullets. Like we could have had multiple KIAs if they had shot. So them running away was actually better for everyone. I think personally.
Do you think that these mags were staged in the mag carriers oriented in the right direction, or do you think they were just haphazardly thrown in there?
Well, here's the thing. I have seen so many, and I'm sure you have as well, where people show up to a match with their mags and their mag carriers backwards, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is just the way I practice." And then they go to do a reload, and they inevitably shove the magazine in backwards because the way it works in their head is not the way it works in reality. And so this person is almost assuredly the same way. It's like, "Oh, well, I have it pointed this way so that when I grab it like this, I can shove it in there, right?" And then in the heat of the moment, they don't grab it that way. They grab it
Yeah.
in a normal way. And then it's like, "Oh, shoot, the magazine is backwards. And why won't it go into my gun? Why won't it go into my gun? What is happening? Panic, 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 panic."
I keep tapping and racking and nothing's working.
Well, yeah, no, I've seen people do this in competition where they're shoving a magazine in backwards, and then they're like, "Oh
Yeah.
shoot, it's not going to fit." And of course, it's while they're standing still, like staring at a target, like 3 feet away from them. And so, yes,
Yeah.
under stress, people do this sort of thing when they don't practice or train at all.
I've
This is
said
just what
the
happens.
most common thing I've seen in my stuff that I do is I'll see people who will have a double mag carrier on their weak side, and they'll have one mag pointing forward and one mag pointing backwards. Because I don't know if it's like some kind of
Mhm.
weird symmetry thing that they're into, but it's wrong.
Ooh, how much do you want to bet that she has the mag carriers on the handgun side? So she physically has to switch hands with the gun, take her strong hand, grab the backwards magazine, and then shove it into the gun. And that's the way she has it set up.
I would not be surprised at all. Honestly, this reinforces the fact that women should not be in law enforcement. You can say you can show me an example, an exception to the rule. Fine. Overall, I don't think women should be in law enforcement. This is the kind of stuff they do, and we should just not allow this as polite society.
Mhm.
Shouldn't be a thing.
Now, I do have to break it to you. This is unfortunately a male. Gep Gekadile sent me the video. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, well,
I
this looks
can't
like a
show
woman.
the video because obviously it shows moving guns, and YouTube is fine with us talking about still images, but I can't show the video of this individual shooting all of the rounds from his service weapon and then failing to reload. I mean, it's really bad. It's
Okay,
really,
well,
really bad. Like the
this
video I'm watching it now is far worse. And half of the shots that he takes are through his own windshield at the guy.
are they unsupported too?
Let me pull it up. He is currently, well, he is unsupported one hand shooting through his own windshield.
They do
while
that
driving.
Why do they do that so much?
driving. That's insane.
Yeah, no, the fact that I thought you were a woman based on your hands, like I don't know how many manicures you've had recently, but you should just hang it up, dude. Stop being a cop. I don't know what else to tell you, especially in Vegas. Like, I would imagine Vegas is not an easy place to be a cop.
Well, so again, I got to be careful here because I can't show you the video, but if we just grab some handy dandy still frames here. So here he's chasing this guy right there. Okay, calling it in. Here he is shooting through his own windshield while driving at the and there are people, this is a residential area. There are people, and you're hoping that the bullet magically transfers through 3 or 4 panes of glass, depending on where he's shooting the other guy at, and is hitting its intended target. And again, that's a lot of shots. He shoots all the shots
with oncoming traffic too.
Yeah, and then this right here, as he's leaning out the window like it's a drive-by to finish off his magazine, that is when he goes for the weak hand reload. Yeah. Please, YouTube, don't take me down. Those were all screenshots, okay? But listen, Jake, we've got a lot of news to cover, okay? We've barely even gotten started, so I hope you're not working in the morning.
Yay, I am working in the morning, but it's okay.
Okay, good. Well, Minnesota is now one step closer to becoming a banned state, okay? And this is on r/liberal gun owners from a couple hours ago. And I just find this funny because it's always liberal gun owners getting their just desserts. So the assault weapons ban and high capacity mag ban has successfully passed the state Senate today. Now it goes to the House, and it passed by a singular vote in Minnesota. Minnesota is this close to becoming another banned state, which is, again, only like an hour away from me, is this close to becoming another banned state because of demographics, we'll say. You can read some of the names in here and be like, hey, I don't think that person should be deciding what I can and cannot carry. Very nice. Given what Minnesota was put through 4 months ago, this passing without much flack or fanfare is pretty good evidence that we are not entering some golden age of left-wing gun ownership. Yep. So all those armed queers and other people who are like, listen, lefties, we need to go arm ourselves and we've got to go do this and vote blue. And then they vote blue and then they get high capacity mag bans, standard capacity mag bans and assault weapon bans, which just means scary black rifles that give us the non-warm and fuzzies, right? Good luck. Good job. Thanks, Minnesota. Mega cringe. Yeah. How will they fight ICE? I just don't know. Well, anyways, you should be happy to know that Mr. Fatah and Omawu Verbatan has taken away your gun rights. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice, fellow Minnesotans?
These are people that you would run into at the cantina in Tatooine.
It's very, very Star Wars coded. Well, hey, we're past the 2-hour mark already. And we've got a 13-minute video to go through at 60 minutes because 60 Minutes decided to do a hit piece hate video on white folk. Because you see, white folk who might have offensive ideology and rhetoric helping others, well, that's just lay heckin' evil. That's just lay heckin' awful. They should not do that because white people who have offensive ideologies are ontologically evil and they could do no good. So any good that they do is merely to progress their evil ideologies. All right, but before we do, we have 20 super chats. We're going to try and get through these real quick. Heathen from Texas for 2 says, typo, I do want it. Screw you, autocorrect. Yeah, I figured you do want a 1022 takedown integrally suppressed, which would be, it's kind of cool, I guess. 22, it's quiet, it's cheap, it's fun.
You don't own any 22s, do you, John?
I own a 22 conversion kit for an AR-15. So if I wanted,
so you don't own any 22s?
No dedicated 22s, no sir.
It's a shame.
I have like 30,000 rounds of 22, but I don't have any 22 I mean, I have one. Well, any AR I have can shoot 22, but no. Amrite Boy for 2 says new Edge Mustangs are so hot, and the IROC Z's. I really, for me, the best looking cars are between like 1960 and 1970, right? For classic American cars. And I find earlier cars to be beautiful, but in a different way. In the 70s and 80s and, 90s and into the early 2000s, cars were either big and boxy, which isn't my thing, or they just became nebulous in shape and they lost a lot of the character that they had gained through the golden era of like again 1960 to 1970. Now there are certain cars, like my dad had a 73 Camaro, which was the split bumper, which was still a good looking car, still a cool car, but again down from the heights of, I would say, like a 67 or a 69. So again, that's just my opinion on older cars. I know. Lightspore for 2 says Golden Web bulking tips. Yeah, I did ignore some of the meaner comments, Lightspore, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's not very nice.
Yeah, understand for once for 5 says if they make another 3.0 meltdown, that company will go bankrupt. What do you guys think about the new ATF rules? Christ is king. Fuck Islam. Thank you very much. Understand for once. Very based. The new ATF rules are quite a bit better than the old ATF rules, and I like that they are clarifying a bunch. I do like that. However, remember, anything they do now can simply be undone later. So next Democrat president, I guarantee you their head of the ATF will be just tearing all of that up and making it even worse. So if it's not codified into law, then it's a nice short-term boost.
We can only hope that the new ATF director will get enough done to leave a lasting impact.
Mhm.
And
Thank you,
that
understand for once.
maybe that issue won't be the number one priority for the Democrats in the next 4 years. Or
I
whatever.
mean, who knows? We could go a little bit longer. 28 could turn around. You never know. Never know.
Maybe.
Zanico for 2 says, Richard, that thing I sent you for Ruger, please. I am very sorry, Zanico, that Richard took off beforehand, but send it to him so that he will start the next stream with it. Appreciate you, Zanico. Pauly B for 5, Chinesium gutter oil and compacted styrofoam would beat Q. LMAO, sorry sight for sore eyes. Yeah, they not looking good so far. Thank you, Pauly. Everyday American for 2 says, you're the only person I've heard dislike the Mark 1. I know. I'm the only person on the internet, as far as I'm aware, that dislikes the Mark 1. I have an entire video coming very, very soon on why. Thank you, Everyday American. Everyday American for another 5 says, I get all the Q hate. I really do. However, I still want a fix in 6 Arc and a boombox in 8.6. No one is going to convince me not to get them. Well, the fix is awful. Terrible. Get literally any other lightweight bolt-action rifle in 6 Arc. Anything else, you will be far happier. I promise you. The fix sucks. The boombox, maybe that's a really good platform for 8.6, but I just hate 8.6. So,
And I think for 8.6, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you could get a XCR.
Yeah,
and chambered in 8.6, which
That's
might
correct.
be better and probably cheaper.
Lightsport for 2 says 6.7 gassy? Gassy? 6.7? Thank you, Lightsport. Zany for 2 says, John, I didn't get the invite link. Weird. Again, you got to make GM first, Zany. You're almost there. Almost there, Zanyco. Lightsport for 2 says, I did not know the Fat Hick has 1 million subs. He's got 1.08 million subs, by the way. And 2 degrees. Oh, I forgot to ask him what his 2 degrees are in.
You didn't know he had 1.8 million power in Rise of Kingdoms?
Mm.
Come on.
Lightsport for 2 says, what is your daily caloric intake, Mr. Webb? More calories than the round count on the Q fixes, that's for sure. The Q Sugar Weasels. Lightsport for 2 says, why does this KW man say boys so much? See, that's the thing. You deal with somebody who's nice and who's pleasant, and then you got to go all mean on him, all right? It's because you deal with ethnics all day, Lightsport, and you're taking it out on our own Golden Web. That's not very nice. Amrite Boy for 2 says, focus strip upper burn down when? Can it beat Q? I would certainly hope it would beat Q, But again, it's just off the shelf components. So there's nothing special about my builds at all. So, I mean, I hope it would beat Q, but I would imagine they would run somewhere between 400 and 800 rounds, somewhere in the middle. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Josh for 2 says, I feel bad now. This guy is Fox from Fallout 3. Based Fallout reference. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that, sir. 10 days till Fallout. Chud for 2 says, if I'm still giving you money, you're going to stream for me. Well, that is kind of how it works, Chud. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chud. Everyday American for 5 says, switching hands to reload. That's the old Mitchellick revolver special. No, I've seen some absolute revolver chads, running their reloads. And yeah, they'll do the revolver flip to reload thingamajig, and it's wacky, but not what this lady was doing, or this dude was doing, right? Because that is a very practiced motion. This is the opposite of that, a very unpracticed motion, a very, oh shoot, my life is going terrible type motion. Thank you, Everyday American. Get it out for 2 says, this was what my super chat was about Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Yeah, I mean, I just thought in general that LVMPD was bad, which is, you would hope that they would not be, considering there's so many people there, but thank you, Get it out. Amrite Boy for 2 says, Minnesota 2A laws suck and always have. Wisconsin and South Dakota for the win. Yes, but Minnesota bridges the gap between us, and Wisconsin is not far behind Minnesota. South Dakota has got a long ways to go, and I'm going to make sure that we maintain a proper ethnic profile here, okay? Wisconsin, not doing so hot. Better than Minnesota, but. Zany for 2 says, the Ruger on your X post, rip Ruger. Well, again, they're not gone. They're just getting bought. They're under new management. I wouldn't say saved, more like under new management. Yeah, this is Zany's Ruger posting right here, which is a neat little setup. I think that the EOTech on a Mark IV is hilarious. Zany for another 2 says, let's compromise for A class. Maybe M class. Okay, M class isn't that hard. I made M class in 3 months. You can do it. I believe in you, Zany. Let's see here. Over on Rumble, we have Jarrett for 5 says, I'm driving, so all I can say is Christ is king and submit to Rome. Well, how about we submit to the church of the first millennium, which would be orthodoxy and the pentarchy. All right. How about that? What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
How about we submit to Christ, our king? Is that crazy?
And the church that Christ started, or
just Christ? We submit to Christ.
Just Christ, no church. Just me and my Bible, Jake. Okay.
No, that's not what I said, John. I
thought that is what you said.
I think Christ is our king.
Mm-hmm.
And
did Christ
that
set
is
up
the point.
earthly authorities for us, Jake?
I don't think we should. Well, I mean, you agree we shouldn't submit to Rome.
Correct.
I don't think we should submit to the church institution necessarily at all.
Necessarily?
No.
Really? Do you think? What if, let's wind the clock back. We can have this debate right now, Jake. All right.
Let's have this debate now.
Post apostles, Timothy. Yeah. All right. Timothy is your local bishop or elder or presbyter. Do you think he has authority over you?
So I think there is a level to submission to your local, like your pastor. You kind of put yourself under them, only so much as to like it aligning with scripture. It has to align with scripture, right? You have to test the words. Look at the
what is scripture in the first century?
John, look at the Bereans. Paul commended the Bereans because they tested his own words against scripture, right? They didn't just take what he said. Paul is an apostle, or he's an early church father, whatever you want to call him.
He's an apostle. Yes.
He wasn't one of the original apostles though, right? Because he wasn't there with Christ when he was alive. He was
but he would still be
later on.
Apostle. He's absolutely an apostle.
He commended the Bereans for testing his words against scripture, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I've had conversations with Orthodox people, maybe this is not the Orthodox line, this isn't their doctrine, but it seems to me that if you try to test something that is doctrine in the church against scripture, then you are I've been called a Gnostic for doing that, because I'm trying to gain secret knowledge from the scripture or something.
Well, you'd probably
crazy
be
to
called
me.
a Gnostic if you were arguing for some sort of Gnostic belief.
No, I had a guy call me a Gnostic because I was talking about interpreting the scripture, like reading
Were
the
you
scripture.
interpreting it in a Gnostic way?
No, no. It was just against. It was against what the Orthodox Church teaches.
So it probably wasn't a Gnostic way then.
No,
Because you understand, well, no, it probably was, because I mean there's so many different sects of Gnostics within the first 3 centuries of the church. I mean, like there's Bibles written about what not to believe. And Gnostics do have a lot of wacky interpretations about scripture, right? And they twist scripture, right, to fit their own random interpretations of whatever it might be, which is why personal interpretation of scripture is not what I would rely upon, right? Because my own personal faculties are very faulty.
doesn't that seem like a cop out though? Like if you can
I
say
just think it's correct.
if you can say that we cannot read the Bible for ourselves and discern
That's
like
not what I
a
said.
plain truth out of it, essentially.
Well,
Well,
we
this is
objectively
the
can't.
argu-
That's just
this is the
objectively
argument
true
that
that we
I've-
cannot. Scripture is not plain. That is just objectively true.
I think
right?
there
Because
are.
if
I
you
think there are
it's
very
objective-
plain
if you think it
truths within
is
Scripture.
plain, I think some of it can be, sure, but
But-
not in a holistic sense, right? Because if Scripture was truly plain, then we would not have female priests or pastors or anything like of the sort, right? Because
Well,
that's an
Scripture does
obvious.
plainly condemn that. That's the thing.
I agree with you, right? And we're 2 people who can agree on what is plain, but then there are
Yeah.
other people who can also read that and not come to the same conclusion. So who is correct? Our own individual faculties, or perhaps maybe an institution that Christ did set up while he was here?
Maybe both are correct on that point, and the people who are incorrect are the people who are in bad faith arguing explicitly against what Scripture plainly lays out.
Well, I mean, the female priest is a more obvious one, but
Yeah,
what about the
homosexuality.
Eucharist? Yeah, homosexuality is another easy one. But what about
Yeah.
the Eucharist? All right, what about the sacrament of baptism? Okay, is that plain and obvious what exactly mechanistically is happening?
I don't know that it's necessarily super.
Well, right, but
plain.
as soon as you say I don't know, we have to appeal to something else, right? So we have to have some sort of normative authority outside of ourselves. Because if all we
I
rely
think-
upon is our own intuition about things, like our own intuition and faculties are wrong all the time. All the time.
Yeah, and I agree, but I think also that the church is not above being wrong as well, which
course.
we've seen.
Well, but
There's-
again, the orthodoxy is not the papal system where the
Yeah.
magisterium and the Roman see is indefectible. So really, this is just a fun side tangent because he said submit to Rome, which obviously neither of us believe in,
no, yeah.
because the Pope is a ahistorical position within the church. All right, and well, yeah, of course I agree. Damn it, Jeremy's position. Bushmaster for 2 says, if this person is brown, my ethnic basketball grip texture theory gains more traction. That is about the rubber grip. They add the rubber grips to their pistols so it feels more like a basketball. Jared for 2 says, we submit to Christ first and foremost, bring Jake on redoubt. Well, yeah, everybody's going to say that. Everybody's going to say that. But when you say submit to Rome,
I'm
and
not the
none of us
best
are
at,
Catholics.
I'm not the best at debating this stuff. I'm always going to disparage the Catholics in good fun, obviously.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a conversation that could go on for hours. So
Millennia, even perhaps.
some could say millennia. Maybe it's the end of time, and we'll see who's right. You know.
All right. Well, here we go. Here's something that we can all use our faculties for to come to a clear reading of right and wrong. Surely, because here we have 60 minutes after natural disasters, white nationalists, militias, and conspiracists, those evil conspiracists show up to help other people, arrive offering help, but they also want to recruit and improve their image. Watch the full 60 minutes report.
A surge of
This is one of those weird things where it's like, and like, do we have a problem with this? Though those evil people, those evil people, Jake, who show up after a natural disaster and spend their own time and money and risk their lives to help other people. Those evil.
Yeah,
evil
yeah, those
people.
ones. Do you
Those
remember? there was times of civil unrest in this country where like it was a big deal that like Hell's Angels was protecting businesses from looters, or like Crips and Bloods were uniting to protect the community from looters. Is that like, is this is this the thing that they're doing evil because they're evil people?
Well, but that's the thing. The only thing, quote unquote, evil from this, wonderful grandma's perspective, I suppose, is that they have an ideology that she disagrees with, and therefore anything that they do is also evil and nefarious in nature.
Yeah, but I guess I'm saying is her viewing these groups as evil means that everything they do, even good things, are also evil.
Well, right, because they're evil not necessarily in their action, but in their intent, right? Because if an evil person does something good, it's only to enhance their image or to recruit or to,
Yeah.
push their agenda forward, right?
So then it is evil because in her mind, these people are going to do this good thing in the community, and then they hand a little kid a swastika on a flag and say,
Right, of course. Yeah.
we need to preserve the white
as
race,
they're
young
known
child.
to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Described by watchdogs as one of the country's fastest growing.
South Dakota Active Club. I didn't even know we had one. I didn't even know my own locale. Damn.
John's about to join up.
Look up your local active club, by the way. I guess, geez.
White supremacist networks that are anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant, and anti-democracy.
Yeah, but anti-immigrant is just 60% of America. Like, mass deportations were popular in America. We had general support for mass deportations. That is the normal position within America right now.
What else did she just say in the last 10 seconds?
Anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant.
The country's fastest growing white supremacist networks that are anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant, and anti-democracy.
But I'm all those things. I'm fine with all of those things, actually.
Well, again, yeah, it's like anti-Semitic. What are we if we're anti-porn, banking, media, wars, well, that's anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, perfect. All right. Anti-immigrant. Yes, we need to deport 100 million people. Correct. The reason why people were supportive of Trump at all, especially on the right, was that he promised deportations. Never got them, but that's what we wanted. And anti-democracy. If this is where democracy leads, then I don't want democracy, right?
Yeah.
It's fine.
She's selling it right now. She's doing more for the cause than they are.
Yeah, and it's like we have what we have now. It's like I don't even know what you want to call it. Anarcho tyranny sums it up better than a true democracy, right? Because we have democracy or republic in some sense that has kind of lost its initial meaning. But the way that we operate now is not the way that the founders intended, and not the way that a lot of us would argue for a system going. Yep, just like even within the Republican Party that tries to pretend that the GOP doesn't play identity politics, they have racial preference groups for Asians, Blacks, South Americans, whatever it might be. But any sort of pro-white person is like, whoa, watch it there, you heckin' fascist extremists. It's like, that's crazy. You can't care about your own. That you'll heckin' upset the system or something like that. For some reason, they just really specifically hate anyone that is outspokenly pro-white.
I feel like it's almost akin, and maybe this is a bad example, but it's almost akin to the way people view nuclear power because of the stigma behind nuclear weapons. They're like, oh, nuclear weapons are these horrible things that just destroy human life and incur suffering on a mass scale. So nuclear power is super scary and we should not have it. It feels like the same way with these types of groups. It's like, well, we've seen these groups in the past do really bad things, and I'm sure there are some
Yes,
groups
that's right.
that have done bad
World War
things
II
before.
happened, therefore you don't get borders.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it seems like you're just kind of saying, hey, this thing that looks like what you're doing right now is really bad, so you're not allowed to have that. But everyone else can have the same thing, but just with a different name. But
Correct.
You're not allowed to do it. Your people are not allowed to do it.
Isn't that like the literal definition of a good Samaritan? Right? It's like, yes, I am here specifically to do good for my own community, but if I can help somebody else who's there, who's in need, I'm not just going to not help the guy, and that's just the normal moral position to take, right? You go to a place specifically to help some people. If inadvertently you have to help other people as well, it's all well and good, of course. And I love how they try and paint this guy specifically. You know, who knows? Everybody likes to Fed jacket and say, okay, well, this organization's a Fed, that organization's a Fed, whatever. Like they try and blanket this guy and Fed jacket this guy and be like, everything that he does is either bad or he has ulterior motives or he's some sort of heckin' evil. It's kind of irrelevant. What he's saying is just very normal, intuitive stuff. Okay. You have a generic level of humanity for everybody. You care for everybody, but you have specific in-group preference. It is normal, it's natural, it's good, and it facilitates healthy nations.
I feel like if this guy was more like extreme in his rhetoric and his language, that would be a sign of him being a Fed. But he's very reasonable. Like he's not saying anything crazy. If he was being paid to do this by whatever group, I feel like he would be laying it on a little thick. You know, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, again, they're trying to like edit him to make him seem extreme somehow, but everything he says is like normal, natural, cogent. And again, if he happened to be brown, like it would be like applauded by mainstream media. He's chill. Well, and this is true. Yes. The most racist human alive will save someone from drowning. These people would kill me for my right-wing beliefs. Right? I mean, we all get death. If you're online long enough, you'll get plenty of death threats, right? But I would actively go out of my way to help someone else. And these people would actively murder you for saying words that they disagree with. Like, we are not the same. We are literally better than you. You know, handing out bread to family and clearing debris. Those pesky Patriot fronters. Imagine being a Fed, right? And you actually are in Patriot Front, and your job is like, oh, what are we doing this week? What are we going to entrap these guys with? And you're like, oh, we're going to North Carolina, clearing debris and handing out bread. And you're like, okay, well, not exactly what I signed up for, but fair enough, I suppose. You know, actually getting Feds to do their job for once in a very roundabout way.
Yeah. And not just like protesting in the streets and screaming and yelling at people. They're actually like doing something.
Yep.
Crazy.
Hey, also interesting, I didn't see any tranny groups show up in North Carolina to help people pass out bread and clear debris. No armed queers of Salt Lake City. Didn't see them handing out bread or bringing in generators.
They'd probably want to kill those inbred, closed-minded.
True. Well,
white
they actually
people down
do
there.
look, as you said, like they look down on those white redneck hillbillies. Like there were people. Remember when the Catholic schoolgirl camp got flooded, and there were people just laughing and being like, "Oh, they should have prayed harder." You know, this is what you get for, you know, their parents probably voted for Trump, therefore they deserve this. Like, ironically, everything that this old lady and her ilk call people like us on the dissident right, their own side is so comically evil in comparison. Like it's a dark comedy, okay? It's a dark comedy inversion where every 5 minutes it's like Jim from The Office staring at the camera whenever they say something so retarded. You can argue about ulterior motives all day long. Who cares? Like, I know every Christian organization that went there went to go help people and to spread the gospel. And guess what? If there's some, you know, pro-white group going that is going there to help people clean up and to spread their own ideology, it's just what people do. And it's honestly, it's the right thing to do. That is the best way to propagate your message, right? Go out there and do something positive. Help people out. And if in the act of doing something kind for your neighbor or for your nation, right, you get a positive outcome, then good. All right. That is the correct way to do it.
And I'd be willing to bet that a lot of these people in whatever this group was, or Samaritan, whatever, the religious foundations, the veteran relief group, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of those people's beliefs are probably closer aligned to the far right extremist group than this lady would think, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, again,
generally those are the
I know
types
a
of
lot of
people.
the wonderful people that went down there to help. So
Yeah, those are generally the type of people that actually do stuff. So like,
yeah, and I'm not as well versed in some of these other disaster organizations because I know some people like literally go for the photo op, you know, like a Tim Kennedy type or some of these other organizations where they show up, they mess everything up, they take some pictures and they leave, and that's like how they continue to secure funding. So Well, and again, to his point, there were intentional government obstruction of people handing out supplies. And that's the thing, like, for as much maligned and malformed as it is, this is still currently America. So yes, if I wish to drive halfway across the country to help out my fellow man, I don't need to coordinate with quote unquote law enforcement, who is most of the time overworked and or inept at actually getting the work done.
Yeah, I remember there were a lot of instances during this event where people were trying to run rescue operations, like privately owned helicopters coming in, and the local law enforcement, National Guard were actively turning these people away and like threatening them.
Mhm. Well, do you
Telling
remember
them,
they
no,
had
you can't go save that person that has a heart condition that's up on that hill because we're doing the
Mhm.
rescue operations. You need to leave.
So what's interesting there is, do you remember the video of, I want to say it was like a National Guard helicopter, but they had like a private area where they were setting up
Mhm.
food and other things that people need, and they had a helicopter like do a flyby and a hover and just like try and destroy as much of it as possible.
I remember that. So I have a buddy who's very big in the aviation world. He flies helicopters, and his read of that was not that it was intentional. It very much follows the procedures of landing a helicopter, where you do a couple of passes. You do a high pass, you go around, look for any obstructions, and then you do a low pass to look for things like power lines or branches in your landing area. Then you come in and land. So I don't know necessarily what the
I think it's the drip. Hugo Boss. Hugo Boss has a lot to do with the mystique. All right.
also the fact that it's like it is the counterculture right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, Tom Foe, the first video we ever watched of Tom Foe was the F Hitler Society video. Basically, it's like when you look around at the evil in society and how much society hates you as a young white man, as a sensitive young white man, I should say. And they say, well, what's the most evil thing in existence? That's Hitler. And it's like, okay, Hitler's the most evil thing in existence, but I also think you guys suck and you guys are evil. So maybe I should go check that guy out. Ironically, it's like they're pushing young men into like fascist ideology. Like they are the best marketing for fascist ideology. Like every time you see a trans school shooter that hates Christians, it's like, how do we fix the trans gay degeneracy in society? Well, Weimar problems require Weimar solutions. So I guess here we go, round two, buckle up, electric boogaloo or something like that.
Men of Active Club hide their faces when they post pictures from natural disasters.
Because you guys try to get them deplatformed and kicked out of their jobs and schools and social circles. Literally anything that you guys can do to make these people's lives hell for doing a morally upstanding thing, right? For helping with disaster relief, because they lay heckin' believe in something that you don't like, you will try and get these people like depersoned online and use young rhetoric. He was out of pocket, so to speak. All right. And again, it's like, yeah, these people will throw like Paul Miller, another example of a slightly off-white person who has pro-white beliefs. And he got into a fight with some Antifa guys. He defended himself. And who goes to prison? Paul Miller, right? So it's like, oh, well, you're a felon. You're an evil person. They'll use you defending yourself against you. So it's totally irrelevant. It's like, see, the system that we set up punished you. Therefore, you did something wrong, right? Right?
Look at that guy though. Look at how evil he is, John.
Yeah, and he says,
That's-
"Oh, we
that's
take
the
care of our
face of
people
evil.
first." That's the same rhetoric everyone has. Indians say, you know what? I don't know be Indian, but it's reaching. And then black people say, "Hey, we got to do good for the black community." Asian people want to do good for the Asian community. Who cares? But it's only when white people do it that they're so afraid and that they're so hateful of it.
Yeah, imagine if like Google Maps had a tab on it for white-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Imagine the uproar.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of these people are like, we should only support like pro-white businesses, pro-white people, and live in these areas. But that's the same thing every racial group does. But it's only demonized and even in some cases criminalized when white people do it. Pound and pound that other man.
John, don't make it weird.
I mean, going to prison for a scuffle, a protester scuffle. Come on.
Do
I mean,
we
and
need to
that's-
pull up the video evidence, the vast library of video evidence of black supremacists doing far worse? This is all they have. This is all
it's just
they
black
have.
people in general. It's just black people. Listen, if a black person punches you, that's fine, right? Judge is going to let him off. Nothing's going to happen. If you defend yourself and you end up beating the crap out of the guy, you go to jail, right? That is how the system works. It's a narco-tyranny, two-tiered justice system. A black person can literally stab someone to death and be adjudicated not mentally fit to stand trial. If you or I did that to anyone, like, it's literally white disprivilege or just smart disprivilege, because there's no way a jury would ever buy it that we're not mentally capable of standing trial, right?
Yeah, but this, like I said, this is all they have. They have to dig for this stuff, these clips that make these so-called whatever nationalists, white supremacists, Nazis, whatever they want to call them, that make them look like just the most evil thing in the world. You don't have to dig very far. Even with media suppression of these incidents, you don't have to dig very far to find something where, the shoe is on the other foot, so to speak. And it's kind of funny to me that they don't. I think our stream got canceled on YouTube. Our stream is offline.
No,
on YouTube.
So we were showing too much of the 60 minutes interview. Sorry about that. So it's off screen. Don't worry, guys. It will literally come back to YouTube in like 2 minutes. Whenever so that's what I wish YouTube would always do, is if there's some sort of content violation or copyright violation, even though I feel like that was transformative. We've been talking about 9 minutes of content for over an hour now. I feel like if all they did was like take the stream down for 2 minutes and then bring it back, like it would be a much better system. But do not worry, gentlemen. It's literally going to be coming back on YouTube in like 2 minutes. So if it's already back, it's back. That's it. So that is just YouTube being gay and retarded again. So I guess we will move off of that. And let me now that we've talked about that, let's move into something else. Okay. So this is a attack that happened a little while ago, but it's just gaining traction now. We have some of the Weimar conditions that may require Weimar solutions. So take a look at this, shall you? A terrifying random stabbing, quote unquote, on a Little Burke Street in Melbourne, Australia, has left a 36-year-old Asian woman, Wan Lee, with a punctured right lung. The unprovoked attack occurred at 7:35 a.m. as Lee walked to work. CCTV footage captures the chilling moment. The 32-year-old suspect, identified as transgender extremist, quote unquote, Lauren Darrell, strikes from behind with the kitchen knife before fleeing down Spencer Street.
A random, unprovoked stabbing in Melbourne. A woman attacked from behind by another woman with a knife.
You'll never be a real woman, and this transgender extremist just, I guess, takes it out, has a mental break, has a series of mental breaks, you could say, and then just stabs of the first woman she sees on the stream.
And left with a punctured lung. It happened here on Little Burke Street, just near Spencer Street, as the 36-year-old victim was walking to work at 7:35 a.m. She ended up in hospital for 3 days and had been living in an apartment nearby for years, but today is moving house because since the October 2 stabbing, she has become a recluse. CCTV captured the attacker running off down.
You know, it's funny. CCTV and the AI software recognition can always recognize a male gait. And there's that one camera company that's getting sued for identifying a tranny as a male, even though they identify as a female, right? Because AI doesn't get the difference. It just sees a male gait and it's like, that's a dude. That ain't no woman. That's a man. So there's one transgender extremist. Very interesting. Now, how about Jake? Moving on to a prominent LGBT pride organization founder, Jake.
Wait,
Tucker.
let me guess. Did he do something to children?
Yeah, basically. I mean, sex trafficking, not quite the same thing as CSAM or pedo stuff, but again, yeah, all sex pest. Yeah, all degens are sex pests. Wow, great. Jake Tucker. Any funny? That's a very funny name for an LGBT Tucker. Tucker, huh?
It's
Convicted of 7 counts of sex trafficking. So, a jury has convicted the founder of Innisfil, weird name, Pride, of sex trafficking 2 women following more than 2 weeks of trial in Barrie. Jake Tucker, 39, was found guilty on 7 of 10 human trafficking and assault charges after 6 hours of deliberation. Tucker described the verdict as unfair and vows to appeal the convictions. All right, bro. I mean, you look like the type. This is the archetypal male feminist, right? So you cannot compete in the sexual marketplace with other men via normal means, via masculine means. So you use the what's the word? The chameleon strategy, right? Where you attempt to befriend women and you attempt to appear as, unthreatening to them, right? The prototype or the archetypal male feminist. And then once you get close enough to them, well, then you let them know that, no, I'm actually a monster, right? And I'm going to I'm going to abuse you in many ways. So let's see here. The allegations first surfaced in 2022 when one woman came forward to police alleging she was sex trafficked by Tucker for years. Police then reached out to another woman who said she too worked for Tucker in the sex trade. The Crown argued Tucker advertised their sexual services, drove them to and from clients, and drugged them when they did not want to work. One woman told the court Tucker used a taser on her. We used to just pimp slap them, but in the Big 2-6, we're now tasering hoes who don't want to get to work. Okay. All right. The defense maintained that Tucker was innocent and the women who admitted to being addicted to drugs for several years while working in the sex trade. Well, that's what they do, though. They find women or people who are already addicted to substances or have other abuse issues, and then they just take advantage of that. So that just sounds like right up their playbook. The defense said the testimony from the complaints was unreliable. The defense told the jury that police investigation into Tucker was flawed and conducted poorly. I actually ran a swingers club. Great defense for Mr. Tucker. And I worked
also something that should not be around and should cease to exist.
Yeah. Anyways,
not a good excuse in my mind.
Well, yeah, it's just LGBT looks inside degenerate sex pest every single time without and or pedo, right? Degenerate sex pest and or pedo. And I worked for U-Haul and a food truck and drove a school bus. Should not be allowed around children. Nope. No, thank you. You are excised from society. Said Tucker outside the courthouse following the verdict Wednesday morning. I feel like anything else would make it impossible to do. Tucker denied running an escort business and being a pimp. No, I am not. Definitely not. All right, so power and authority over the women, blah, blah, blah. Tucker was there to facilitate sex, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, rip, Tucker. Sorry about that, bro. All right. Now, I wonder if you can spot, Jake, for me, the differences in headlines here, okay? There's a subtle change here that you may or may not notice. Can you spot the difference here?
New York Jewish man.
New York Jewish man. So the original article, New York Jewish man found dismembered, stuffed in a closet after being killed by Colombian gang. So they allow his Jewishness to be front and center when it appears to be a gang killing, right? And then 2 days later, they change it to New York City dad found murdered in Colombia was looking for a new bride after his marriage to teenager failed.
Conveniently, a picture of him not in a yarmulke.
Yeah, well, it's like, again, New York City dad found murdered in Colombia, was looking for a new bride after his marriage to teenager failed. Community notes, he was a Jewish rabbi. That's awkward. That's awkward. A Brooklyn Orthodox man, Orthodox Jew, Don't you dare conflict him with an Orthodox Christian. A Brooklyn Orthodox Jew man brutally murdered in Colombia was reeling from the end of his 1-month marriage to a teen bride and was desperately looking for a new love when he was killed. The body of Nachum Israel Eber was found dismembered inside of a bloody wardrobe that was dumped on a street in Bogota on Sunday. Yosef Matheron, a Colombian man who befriended Eber and helped translate for him, told the Post how Eber had met his 18-year-old wife before the brief union unraveled in January. Just Orthodox Jews doing Orthodox Jews things. It's very strange. Eber, 51-year-old, a member of the Borough Park Bells Hasidic community, went to South America to search for a bride after divorcing his first wife 5 or 6 years ago. They shared 4 kids and 2 grandchildren. So that would be his third, right? Because the 18-year-old, they were only married for a month. Anyways, the divorce has drawn the country. The divorcee was drawn to the country because he knew a rabbi from his community who had traveled there and helped descendants of the Spanish Inquisition exiles convert to Judaism. Okay.
This guy sounds like a bad person.
Yeah, I just think he's a bad person and probably ended up getting what he deserved. He was probably looking for another child bride in Colombia, maybe a little bit of recreation down there. And then some gang was like, what is... Hey man, what is this? What is this dude with the funny hat doing here looking after my sister? Oh no, you do not do that here. Sorry. You're going in the body bag in pieces. Oh no. Anyways, awkward. I am dude, I don't know. How rage baity do you want to be tonight, Jake?
I don't know, John. I honestly don't know how much I can take.
Well, I feel like every time you come on,
bit.
Jake, every time you come on, Jake, I just have the worst stories imaginable. Like literally awful, terrible,
used to it.
horrible things. So, you know that thing that supposedly never happens when it comes to abortions? It happened actually many times. So, Alberta babies born alive left without care in 17 late-term abortions. Now, this is not a late-term abortion. These are simply murders carried out by the healthcare system in Canada. That's all that these are. 17 babies were born alive in Alberta following labor-induced late-term abortions in 2025 and left to die. That is not a late-term abortion. That is a birth. Labor-induced late-term abortion. That is a birth of a human child, you monster.
It's just a euphemism made to make it sound like some kind of medical procedure that's okay. It's evil. It's pure evil.
It's pure evil. There could not be anything more evil than to let a first off to attempt to murder the child in the womb, and then it survives the murder attempt, and then you just let it die. Like again, I have held 3 of my children in the moments after they have been born. The idea of if someone, like let's say I was out of state, out of country for some reason during one of my children's birth, the idea that a doctor or nurse let one of my children die through uncare, I believe that I would be morally justified in killing all of them, like every single person involved in that process, because they murdered my child, right?
Yeah.
And even worse in this case is because the mother has blood on her hands as well. What an evil, terrible, horrifying system. And again, this also comes from the left. It comes from this group of people that want to feign some sort of moral superiority over you, right? When these people say safe, legal, and rare, they mean like living children abandoned by the medical system, abandoned by their parents, sat there to die.
Yeah, safe, legal, and rare is just like total bullshit. It's like if it's safe and if it's legal, why should it be rare? It's like,
well, and that's the thing. 97% of abortions, or some insane number of abortions, are just elective. I don't feel like it.
The rare part is something that they just said. They don't use that line anymore. That's not their line anymore. Now it's just about women's rights and their bodily autonomy and all this bullshit.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, when I am confronted with evil so vast and so reprehensible as stuff like this, if this is what women's autonomy leads to, I have no interest in it. None. Do I
Yeah.
believe that if women band together and vote to allow abortions, well, that's just a heckin' feature of democracy. Maybe I'm not so interested in democracy.
Yeah, I mean, look at anybody, for example. If someone has autonomy and then you found that they use their autonomy to go and murder somebody, usually that autonomy is stripped from them, right? As it should be.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and again, there's a chapter, and I want to say Luke, where it says, to avoid those people that use the term freedom as a cover for their vice, right? And when a libertarian says freedom, make no mistake, they mean this. This libertarian freedom ideal where people can do what they want outside of state intervention means this. Means
Yeah.
stuff like this. When a liberal, when a Democrat, when a progressive talks about their freedoms and women's reproductive rights, they mean murdering children. They mean murder without consequence. They mean freedom from consequences. And ironically, freedom from consequences for other people. Like, again, we see the dual-tiered justice system where a black can stab someone in the neck, can murder someone, can rape someone, and get away with either nothing or far too lenient of a sentence, right? They want freedom from consequences for their side, for their team, being women and minorities, while using the full weight of the law against somebody who defends themselves against an Antifa mob.
You know, it's totally ironic too. If women really just want freedom from consequences, they should just submit to their husbands and get married, because then the husband will take on the brunt of all the consequences that happen in their life.
Well, I agree. Well, back before women's suffrage, women weren't allowed to hold debt. It
Yeah,
was
they
not
couldn't
able.
incur the consequences. Literally impossible. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
that's what they really want. That's what they yearn
this
for, John.
this experiment of universal suffrage and egalitarianism is just, it's failed on so many levels that I am so disinterested in using any of my faculties to continue it, that the whole system has to come down. And once again, we will see the violent swing, in my opinion, back to normalcy. And it happens when any society grows too decadent, whether it's the Greeks or the Romans or whatever else that came before. The violent return to normalcy will come, and it will be unpleasant for a short period of time.
Yes. And I would like to say to anyone who might be, and I don't know if there's anybody in the chat like this, but I know some of them. If you claim to be a Christian, right? You claim to hold biblical Christian worldview. The early church fathers, all the way back in the Didache. When did the Didache come out, John?
Early first century, I think it's 80s or 90s, something like that.
Yeah, explicitly condemned abortion
Mhm.
as being
Of
evil.
Of course, it's an obvious evil practice, and that's why, like, even what so divorces me from modern Protestants is that that you can find a Protestant sect that believes all sorts of evil, degenerate things that, like, I get why they were burned at the stake. If this is where your ideals led to, I'm not really interested. Like, what mainstream Protestant organization believes that women shouldn't have equal rights in terms of voting? Like, all of them do, right?
That they shouldn't have equal rights in terms of voting?
Well, like women's
Or
suffrage,
should.
right? Universal suffrage. Like basically all mainstream Protestant denominations or non-denominationals believe that women should have
Should,
voting
okay.
rights and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I would say they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Well, let's in that same vein,
testimony.
obviously very different, but it works in the same manner. This is what democracy has led to. yeah, you can kidnap and assault a 12-year-old girl because enforcing immigration policies is like heckin' racist. If a white person were to commit 1/10 of the crime, they would be sentenced for 10 times as much.
Court testimony revealed that Argueta had an immigration detainer on him. The judge noted that and details of the case as reasons to deny bail. 34-year-old Oscar Argueta is from El Salvador. He's lived in Cockeysville with his wife and 2 children for the past 3 years. Court records show for the past 3 months, he's been working as a rideshare driver.
It is scary. It is scary. Because you have no weapons. What do you do to protect yourself?
Argueta faces kidnapping and second-degree assault charges and the abduction of a 12-year-old girl Thursday morning in Cockeysville. Charging documents show he spotted the young girl walking near this intersection. According to police, he told her he was a friend of her uncle's and was sent to drive her to school. Police say he also gained her confidence by telling her he sees her at church. According to court documents, the suspect drove to a park and near a cemetery, then stopped with the victim in the back seat. The victim told police the suspect reclined in his seat, asking her if she knew how to box or if she could teach him how to fight. She said the suspect inappropriately touched her, then climbed into the back seat.
I've seen enough. I think we need 10 million more of these people. I think this is what it means when they say diversity is our strength. I think it means El Salvadorian middle-aged rapists, middle-aged pedophiles. Yes, I think we could import 10 million more of these. And if we could use government resources, maybe Jake, to let me know what you think of this, to give them houses and food stamps and healthcare, and we could spend our own money on them and make sure that they can live in a house even though the average American can't. I think that that is a worthwhile use of our collective funds.
Well, John, I mean, if it means that my guy wins the election, then yes, I agree we should do that.
True. Heckin' my guy. Because remember, my guy said he would deport the. Oh wait, I guess that didn't happen. 32
Yeah,
is middle age, dude. 32 is ancient, bro.
True. That's unk.
But how about one more illegal immigrant rapist? Okay, you can always have one more illegal immigrant rapist, Jake. don't
Another
you know?
evil ass rapist.
Illegal criminals keep raping our women. This savage 17-year-old illegal serial rapist, Tremonte Kirk, attacked a 54-year-old woman twice in a Wisconsin elevator. He choked her, stomped her while wearing an ankle monitor for prior sexual assaults. Liberal judges need to be removed.
Yeah.
Every single one of them needs to be removed. These people have allowed literal rapists, pedophile murderers to walk among us and recommit crimes over and over again. Yes, your 54-year-old grandma is not safe from this disgusting subhuman monster because a liberal judge says, well, you know what? Society is kind of mean to these folk. So we should let them out early on good behavior.
Yeah. No. This is evil. This happens a lot. This is like super common in our country. We only see like every other, news story, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. And then all the times that this kind of stuff happens without even being reported or doesn't make it to the news. This is
whatever you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. Whatever you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much of this.
Especially considering the media bias is generally going to be to push this stuff down, to not report on it if at all possible.
A lot of this stuff only comes out through X. You're never going to see a mainstream media article on something like this, right? This should be like national headlines, right? Because imagine, again, if that white supremacist fascist had done this, like, New York Times writing an article 45 minutes later about it, right? It's like Irina Zarutska, right? She has like a half dozen mainstream media articles. George Floyd has like 20,000 mainstream.
You remember the what was it, Ahmaud Arbery or whatever, the jogger who was
yes, I remember the jogger.
Those dudes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How That was national news. That was everywhere. It was on every news outlet constantly, 24/7. If that,
it's so stupid because
like-
listen, those 3 white dudes or 2 white dudes who chased him down and then he fought with them and then got what he deserved. Like they painted them as like the most murderous, evil people in existence when that's just the average black person. The average black person is 100 times more violent and evil than those guys who tried to stop that guy
The
from
jogger.
committing a crime.
And I mean,
the jogger.
And then imagine, even let's say it was all unjustified. It was bad. They literally just murdered the guy. Let's say that was the case.
That's not even what happened though. It's
Still, like, even if that's the case, the fact that story will get totally disproportionate coverage. But if the same thing happens with a group that it's not convenient
every
for them to
day in
cover it,
Chicago, how many
Yeah.
people get shot? No one cares because it's what black people do.
yeah, it's incredible to me. But at the same time, it's like so commonplace now that I barely have a reaction to this stuff anymore, John.
I know it's like, hey, another evil ass rapist let out by the justice system. That's crazy.
17-year-old serial rapist gets 35 years for raping a 54-year-old woman twice in an
Sorry, is there echo within the video? What the heck is your problem?
elevator while on ankle monitor.
Charging documents reveal he
Diversity
raped
Justice
that woman
failed her
twice,
again.
choked her, kicked and stomped on her in an elevator, and this all happened while Kirk was wearing an ankle monitor with the juvenile justice system for sexually.
Juvenile justice system because he's 17 years old and he's out here raping 54-year-olds. He's already been arrested for prior sex crimes. I've seen enough, Your Honor. He doesn't need to live.
That guy's
There's no value to
17?
society. 17-year-old, yes, correct.
I don't know. He doesn't look 17 to me. He looks like a old man.
Assaulting other women, including an elderly woman.
During the last few months, I've spent time trying to
17-year-old serial.
Does he look 17 to you?
Jake, they all look the same to me. You know that.
He looks like he's 35. He looks like he's already reached the end of his life expectancy, John.
Well, he definitely does look like he should be at the end of his life expectancy. But here's just some of the difference. 17 and orc years. That's good. Good. Anyways, here's some of the differences between perhaps us and other people. In the wise words of a rapper, they not like us. A Westside Jacksonville, Florida woman intentionally drove over a group of baby ducklings earlier this week, killing them. The woman, named Beverly Sasbury, says she didn't want the baby ducklings in her yard, so she ran them over. Beverly Sasbury has been arrested and faces 11 felony counts of animal cruelty. I can already guess who she votes for. Now, here's the thing. She gets arrested. She's facing a bunch of counts of animal cruelty, and she'll get the book thrown at her for, killing animals or whatnot. Why can't we just get a proportionate response when these animals target humans?
That'd be
Like, why can't we just get a proportionate response?
It is weird.
I mean, I say that like these people don't have empathy like we do. They literally murder more than half of their own children. So perhaps me expecting empathy from these types of people is a little bit too far. It's a foregone conclusion. These people don't have empathy like we do. They don't care about even other animals, right? It's really only Western Europeans that care about animals in the same way or have any sort of affinity with nature. I mean, just look at every brown country ever. Like, look at India, right? Look at how disgusting of a country it is. Look how filthy their water is. They do not care about natural beauty or anything like that. It's truly the rest of the world is disgusting in their way that they treat nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
This neighborhood on Jacksonville's west side sees a lot of baby ducklings and their moms strolling around the street. Well, now there are 11 less ducklings after.
And that is how decadent and disgusting our society is, Chud. Yes, it is illegal to kill baby ducks, but not illegal to kill your own baby. And again, these people murder more than half of their own children. So why would I even be surprised that they, don't have any sanctity for any life whatsoever? They don't believe their own lives have value.
This woman was accused of intentionally running over and killing them. JSO has arrested her, and the community is just shocked by what happened.
I normally count them when I see them, and I think last time I saw them was like 8 of them. So just knowing that 11 of them are no longer here, it's really sad.
So the community here is obviously pretty shaken up by this, but they're feeling a little better now that JSO has handled this case. We do know that a neighborhood burial for the ducks helped police verify just how many were killed.
Yeah, what do they do with the babies when they kill them, John? Do they bury them?
They don't care.
Do they throw them in the trash? Is that what they do? They don't have
well, are you talking about the medical system? No, because the medical system app loves dead fetuses. Dead fetuses are very useful for all sorts of things, and they're worth a lot of money, Jake. So yes, the abortion industry is
part them out like a car at a chop shop or something.
I mean, basically, yes.
But then with baby ducks, we gotta have like a community vigil. We gotta have a nice ceremony and bury them. And
yeah, LaFonda bawling her eyes out. She has 8 kids from 6 different baby daddies and 12 abortions. Right?
I would care about this if we viewed human life with some just like shred of sanctity, right? Then I might care about this a little bit more. But as of right now, it's like,
we can care about the
what do
ducks
you
when our larger problems have been solved for. Okay, but as of right now, the problems are running rampant in society and need to be dealt with. Well, Jake, that was the rage bait I had cooked up for you tonight. Did you enjoy
it
that?
wasn't even that bad, John. I didn't even say the N-word tonight. So you didn't rage bait me hard enough.
It was more sad bait with the abortion story, the murder story. Jarrett over on Rumble says, call it me taking the L, but I'm out for tonight. We'll watch tomorrow. Please get Jake on Redoubt, regardless of his bad takes on Catholics. Christ is king. Any Catholic that says otherwise is incorrect. Thank you very much, Jarrett. I appreciate that, sir. Let's see. Over on Ko-Fi, Corporal Cripple for $10. That's a funny name. Says, back when I was getting my prosthetic legs made, I met an Air Force combat controller who had his M4 slung on his back while loading a wounded man onto a helo. The movement in conjunction with all his gear switched the selector to fire, and it fired, and he lost his leg above the knee. I am sorry to hear that. That is a scary incident. You're already taking a wounded guy onto a helo, and then you accidentally switch your gun into fire and then make yourself also one of the wounded people on that helo. Well, I guess it's good that the helo was already going to medevac, right? Like, I suppose that's fortuitous timing, that it's like, you're already on the helo that's taking the other guy to medevac, so now you're also on the way there. I'm very sorry to hear that he lost his his lower leg. That's not fun. Maybe he should sue Colt. Polly B for 10 says, John told me Golden Web keeps burning down Q guns. So I asked how many Q guns he has, and he said he just asks for a new Q gun and gets a new one afterwards. So I said, it sounds like Q is just feeding Chinesium for YouTube super chats, and then Kevin Brittingham started crying. Aw, poor Kevin. That's all right. His tears, I've been told by an anonymous inside source, go to fill up the hot tub in his backyard where he has interviews with the new hires and with the industry professionals.
Yeah.
That hasn't been verified. That's just random thought that popped into my head. Anyways, Chud for 2 says the first church was the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. Yes, I've seen that meme where it's like it shows the Eastern Orthodox and Catholic, and then 0 or 33 AD is Lutheran Missouri Synod. Very funny. I do appreciate those memes, Chud. Chips Debo for 5 says, did you see Jordan Jerab's recent video on you, John? I did see it. I did watch it. I did talk to Jordan. I mean, I like Jordan. He's a talker for sure. His video was fine. I mean, again, when somebody says, oh, this is toxic or that's toxic, it's like, whatever. It's fine. And again, people shouldn't be like, outside of the entertainment factor, when we're trashing on Trench Grenade or somebody else, it really is just entertainment, okay? You shouldn't be taking it that seriously. It shouldn't be affecting your day-to-day life, okay? It's just funny. It's just funny. It's just entertainment. Thank you, Chips. Appreciate that, sir. Wallamander for 2 says, what are your thoughts on AT3 and Dirty Bird parts? Case by case basis. Like there's some AT3 parts that I like that I think are decent. Dirty Bird, much of the same case. They're one of those white label parts, so some of them are okay, some of them are not. But I've used all of them, and I think they're fine for the most part if you're trying to save money. Sheep Herder for 2 says perfect time to crank up 1488 Bottle Co. It's a catchy name. I wonder if somebody's used that one before. Amorite Boy for 5 says, in my opinion, the papacy lost authority with Pope Boniface VIII, possibly before that, but he is the one who declared himself Caesar and emperor. Well, if he is the writer of Unum Sanctum, where he says that he is a temporal leader of the world above all powers and princes and all that sort of fun stuff, then yes. However, the term pope is somewhat ahistorical when people talk about the first millennium, because the term pope was not used in the first millennium. They were called simply the Bishop of Rome. And so the idea of supremacy and papal powers really is a second millennium ideal. That's where that really came to fruition. So there are all sorts of letters going back and forth through the different patriarchs and bishops in the first millennium that seem to indicate, and even the Vatican has admitted this in 2 statements, the Chieti document, another one more recently, that the church of the first millennium operated in a synodal fashion, where the councils were above everyone and everyone submitted to the councils. Whereas in the second millennium, the papacy says, no, only councils that are signed off by the Pope are true ecumenical councils, right? They ignore the fact that the Fourth Ecumenical Council at Ephesus was done and solidified without the Pope at all, without the Bishop of Rome. It wasn't until like months after the Fourth Ecumenical Council had concluded, and was already instituted in the eastern half of the Christian world, that the Pope signed on to it after the fact, but it did not require him at all. So again, I would say that the papacy in and of itself never had the authority that they claim. And certainly in the second millennium changed. Thank you, Amorite Boy. Hunters Wanted for 2 says, interested in your take on Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, I'm not as well versed in Jehovah's Witnesses, but I believe they're anti-Trinitarian, which means they're heretical. They're basically, again, you could call them in a way Gnostics as well, because many Gnostics did not believe in the divinity of Christ. So these are again just like ancient heresies from the 3rd century. So it's like it's not that interesting if it's Jehovah's Witness. Again, anyone, like it's like Mormonism is like, no, the church fell away and then was restarted in the 1800s. It's like, sure, buddy. Okay, yep, totally buy that, dog. The gates of hell will not prevail against you, except for when they did for 16 centuries, 17 centuries. Sure. Thank you, Anders. Chud for 2 says, too many choices is chimping out. Well, listen, anytime that, racial statistics get brought up, he has to deflect. Like, he doesn't have a great answer for it. And I mean, too many choices seems like a reasonable person, but anytime like I just say, hey, I don't want these races here because of like XYZ stat or whatever reason I want to pull up. Really, I mean, it could just be my own personal preference for all I care. He's just going to say like that's racist, and that's all he has. That's the only argument he can pull up, and it's like, don't care. Like, if true based. JJ the Noticer for 5 says TND can't come soon enough. Again, reimmigration is the moderate option. It's possible through enough force of will. Thank you, JJ the Noticer. I appreciate you. All right, Jake. What do you got going on, homie? What do you want to shout out before we get out of here?
I do want to draw attention to the chat because Dillweed, what did he say? The Calvinist Bible was written by a rabbi. I don't know what you're talking about when you say the Calvinist Bible.
Yeah, what do you mean by the Calvinist Bible? Does he mean
you should do some research
the
on
King
that
James
one.
Bible? I think the King James Bible did have a rabbi on the panel of translators.
I just I don't know what he means by the Calvinist Bible.
Yeah, there's no such thing as the Calvinist Bible.
Well, there might be, but not
It's
one
like
that I read.
Well, but no, that's not even true. There's no unified Calvin church. There's no authority.
Someone out there could have
What is the
written
authority structure
the
within
Calvinist
Calvinism,
Bible.
Jake? Can you point me to the Pope of Calvinism?
No, there's no Pope of Calvinism.
Again, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. There's no Pope of Calvinism. So
No, but I'm just
nobody
saying.
There's nobody
someone
who
could
could
have
even
written a book.
declare. What I'm saying is there's no power structure or authority to declare a Calvinist Bible. This
No,
is the
but
Bible of Calvin.
I don't think there needs to be a power structure to declare a Bible and have someone write a
Well,
Bible.
but I'm saying it doesn't matter. There doesn't need to be. I agree with you in that.
Yeah.
But there isn't one. So there could not. It's like saying this is the Baptist Bible. There's no Baptist hierarchy that could bind someone to a Baptist Bible. It's not a thing.
Well, that's the fun thing. There are Baptist hierarchies. We just don't talk about them.
I mean, Baptists are congregational. So
Have you never heard of the Southern Baptist Convention, John?
Do you know what the Southern Baptist Convention is?
It's a convention of Southern Baptist churches.
Well, yes, but they don't have doctrine. They don't have dogma. I mean, they might have like generic things about the Trinity. They're mostly a fundraising organization that does mission trips.
They'll come together and they have a conference every year where they talk about
I know,
certain
but
things that they should allow or not allow.
It's not like a council of, in the first millennium where the church heads would get together to argue about doctrine, right? To try and settle the faith. That's not what this is. These are like fundraising organizations and where they, talk about, I don't know, developments in Africa and how do we, better spread the word here and there. They have no authority. The Southern Baptist Convention has no authority to tell any one church what they can and can't do.
Well, they will kick somebody out of the Southern Baptist Convention if they do not align with the church on that. And then
I think there might be
break off and become
there might be
fundamental
some
Baptists.
loose requirements within the Southern Baptist Convention, right? So I don't think technically they'll allow like female pastors or something like that, which is
Not
why
right
a lot
now.
of Baptists. Well, right. So there might be some loose requirements to get in there, but it's not the same thing like a Lutheran synod or even the Presbyterian system or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's not hierarchical like that, right? So they don't have authority over like your local pastor.
Not necessarily in that sense, but so
we don't always talk theology. It's just that we're happen to talk theology at the end of the stream here for some reason. I don't know why.
it's because we were predestined to have this discussion.
We were
guys.
predestined to talk about this. Don't worry about it, Scotty.
Predetermined, Scotty. You wouldn't get it, bro. Anyway, yeah. I guess everybody just go out there, be a part of your community, be the person that 60 Minutes lady hates, meaning
That's
help your
right.
community, be active, engage.
And do it for the worst reasons too. Make sure that when you help some old lady cross the street, that it's because you're a white supremacist that you're helping this old lady across the street. Make sure she knows.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, other than that, Christ is King. Read your Bible, go to church, and be a good person. Sometimes the world doesn't agree with what being a good person actually means, but
Well, the good news is, Jake, that the bar today is so extremely low for being a good person. Like, just try not to be an evil degenerate, and that's you'll be in high standing amongst the ilk of today.
Yeah, that's true.
You mind if I call Jake? You can call Jake. I don't mind, Josh. You can call Jake. Call him right now.
Call me on the phone.
You should. I hope so.
I don't see a call coming through, Josh.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you, Jake and Josh, for the call. I hope that call goes very well. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for hanging out tonight. Bit of a long show tonight. We've had a slew of shorter shows, so I guess it only makes it right for us to make it up to you guys with a long one. Not that you guys are size queens or anything, but I do think you do prefer the longer ones. But thank you to everyone for watching, for hanging out. I will be getting out a video tomorrow morning on the Gun.Deals channel on the Fusion Firearms XP Pro Comp nonsense, and I finished the script for the next main channel video, so you should all look forward to that hopefully this week if I get my work done. But it's Monday, guys. We got a full week ahead of us, so we are going to get out there and try and get stuff done. Get physical, get in the gym, go on a walk, hang out with your family, spend time with your loved ones, spend time reading scripture, maybe throw in some church fathers in there as well, gentlemen. We have lots of work to do, and we're going to need you, yes, you out there, to be in good shape, to be in good spiritual health, to be ready to do what needs to be done no matter what. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out, for the support, for the love. I love you all. Christ is King. God bless. Godspeed.